Honorable members, Mr. Speaker.
Prayers. Almighty God, Queen if the people of Prudence Uganda supporters for leaders and parliaments for the welfare state and government of humanity, we seek you to look upon with the abundant favor these your servants, whom have been pleased God to perform such important trust in this land. Let your blessings descend upon here assembled and granted the mayor as in your presence. Treat and consider all matter that shall come at their deliberation is so just and for the moment promote your honor and glory and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed your church. Amen. Item number 2, communication from the chair.
Thank you, colleagues. I welcome you. We are excited to be welcoming back our two colleagues, the Honorable Aaron Sewanya and Honorable Segrinya Muhammad. We are always happy when we see our colleagues here being able to join us in deliberations in this house. Colleagues, I don't want to waste time. You can see we have a very ambitious order paper. So I want us to go straight to the business, but I'll first allow a few matters of national importance. And I'll start with Honorable Mukasa Rogers. I got Honorable Ryonga Joseph.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Dr. Joseph Ryonga, MP, Wema West. I rise on a matter of national importance regarding the stock out of supplies which are used for collecting blood from national medical stores. According to WHO guidelines, a country is considered to be safe of blood if it collects 1% of its total population. In other words, for Uganda, with a population of 45.7 million, add on refugee population, we expected to collect 473,000 units of blood. But from this, in this financial year, the resources which were allocated for collecting blood were for only 300,000 units. In other words, it's less by around 273,000 according to WHO standards. When we reviewed the half-year performance, the target was 150,000, but UBTS collected 170,000 units of blood. And the resources they used were for the subsequent quarters. Now, to cover the deficit, the government had to look for resources to cover that deficit of around 2,700 units.
Prayers.
When you calculate, my prayers is the government to allocate more resources to BTS to a tune around 9 billion, so as to be able to collect more blood. Because from May, there will be no supplies for collecting blood from people.
Thank you.
And to end up, we shall end up having stockhouse in blood, and blood you can substitute with water. So we need those funds so that we can be able to collect more blood to save our lives of our people. I beg to submit.
Honourable Minister for Health.
Thank you so much, Honorable, for the question, and also Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the question of blood is really, we're in dire need of enough blood in our blood bank. We also have regional blood banks, but we sometimes drum up support for people to come and donate, but even what they donate sometimes is not enough. And remember, we have people who cannot donate blood above 50. and those with comorbidities. But we are scaling up our collection, and I will bring a full report of how we are scaling up this collection of blood to have our blood bank equipped with enough blood for everybody.
Thank you. Colleagues, the prayer was very clear. The prayer was very clear about allocating more money. We are in the budgeting process. Chairman for Health, take note of that. And then Chairperson Budget and Minister of Finance are here. It's not a matter which we need now to open up and have a much wider discussion when the prayer was clear. No, colleagues, we are always guided by the prayers. Now you are amending someone's prayers. Okay, Dr. Honorable Magoro John.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on the 9th of February 2023, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives issued a communication to all chief administrative officers to forward the parish development model resolutions of banker signatories to the Registrar of Cooperative Societies at the Ministry for certification. Right Honorable Speaker, this communication disempowers and renders the work of commercial officers at the district redundant. Besides, this form of bureaucracy is self-defeating as it creates unnecessary delays for the beneficiaries to access the PDM funds on time. We're aware that most of these beneficiaries are farmers and the activities are tied to farming seasons. Prayers, Right Honorable Speaker, I pray that the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives withdraw that communication as it has created unnecessary delays in the disbursement of the PDM funds to the beneficiaries. Secondly, the lead agency of the PDM to verify all the information that is issued in regard to the PDM funds to ensure coordination. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable Minister for Trade.
Thank you very much, Honorable Face, for that point that we have raised. But colleagues, SACCOs, for them to function very well, must be registered by the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. So the registration is okay and it's necessary. But we take note that we should not use it to delay the release of funds to the SACCOs under the PDM. So we'll make sure that we don't stand in the way for the release of funds so that the beneficiaries who have waited for so long can start accessing.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, we can expound on this matter when we are handling the matters of parish development model, which I want to ensure that we handle today. Okay. Honorable Okum Gabriel.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise on a matter of national importance. It is about a highway robbery which occurred along Paida Nebi Road at a place called Kaya on the 24th of March 2023. One called Grace Kijambo, a driver of vehicle registration number UBB 949L, was allegedly robbed of 30 million Uganda shillings after shooting his car tires. The robbers trailed his car with a motorcycle. They put him at gunpoint and took the money and rode away swiftly. Right Honorable Speaker, our prayers are that the people, the business community of Paida are anxious, and we request the government through the Ministry of Internal Affairs to give assurance to the business community about the security of the area. Secondly, since Paida is situated at the border of Congo and Uganda, we request a report on the border security status, since this is not the only incident that has occurred or happened in the recent past. I submit, Right Honorable Speaker, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. On this matter, I will guide that the Minister for Internal Affairs visits Paida, very, very important. Meet the community and reassure them this is not a matter where we need to come back. And since he isn't here, it's not a matter where we need to come back and bring another statement on the floor. We clog our order paper. That's why you find you have very many issues that are still pending for long. So this is the matter where we need to deal with the community. So government chief whip, link up with the minister, he goes to the community, he will assure the community, and he goes with the MP and other leaders of the area so that the people feel safe in that area. Honorable Choma.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I'm raising on a matter of national importance regarding the road in my constituency and in Uganda district that stretches from Wisheshe, Rwenkobwa, Nyansimbo, Kachinga, Nyamarebe, Rushango, and Kamwenge. This road actually connects Uganda to the rest of the country, as well as other districts like Kamwenge and Chitagwenda. This road was started on by a contractor in early 2021. It was worked on half the road, one part of the road, and was abandoned with open trenches and covered culverts just on the road surface, piled heaps of road maram. And now because of heavy rains, it has become totally impassable because all the motorists and the road users are using one part of the road. So because of the heavy rains, trucks are stuck, they can't move any further, and all the economic activities have been impacted on negatively. My prayers are two. One, to request the Minister of Works and Transport to urgently attend to this road, because I've really put it to his attention, the attention of the ED UNRA, and nothing has been done. Then two, to identify this contractor and other similar contractors who breach their contracts with a name of blacklisting them according to the provisions of the PPDA law. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Government.
Right Honorable Speaker, we are aware of the abandoned work that is around the country, and we are trying our best. Even today it was one of our items on the agenda to look at the abandoned work. I'm going to call the Ministry of Works to get in touch with the Honorable Member of Parliament, together with our ministry, my ministry, to see how that work can be, that issue can be rectified. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's trust the word of the Deputy Prime Minister. Yes, let's try it forward. Colleagues, in the public gallery this afternoon, we have a delegation from Kasiro Town Council, Sere District, represented by Honorable Elijah Cooper and Honorable Helen Adoa. They've come to observe proceedings of this house. Please join me in welcoming them. Oh, the chairman.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the delegation there is led by the chairman of Kasilo Town Council.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Odeke.
Thank you. Colleagues, also in the public gallery this afternoon, we have students and teachers of Malcolm X Academy from Makinge Division, Kampala District. They are represented in Parliament by Honorable Sewanyana. Is it? The record is showing me Sewanyana Rogers, but it should be Sewanyana Aran. Yeah, okay? Okay. Oh, he's Arojas Aran. Sewanyana Alan Arojas and Honorable Marende Shamim. They have come to observe proceedings of this house. Please join me in welcoming them. You can stand up so that colleagues welcome you. Beautiful. Yes. Lope, you had something to say?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to join you, Mr. Speaker, sir, to welcome our two colleagues who happen to be from our side of the political divide back to the House. The Honorable Sewanya Nalan and the Honorable Segrinya Mohammed. Mr. Speaker, they have been a voice of the voiceless in their constituencies. And for close to 2 years, their constituencies have actually missed out on that voice. And I would like also to thank the wisdom they have exhibited in getting here and beating the police spokesperson, Mr. Enanga, at his own game, who was anticipating a procession and they had promised to clamp hard down on it. But Mr. Speaker, I hold this view that given that this would be the best time for them to be accorded an opportunity to make their maiden speech or speeches, I was still of that view that this would be a good golden opportunity for them and the constituencies and even some of these their own that are here to hear from them. I so request, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Colleagues, we have very clear rules, especially when you make statements of that nature, statements of personal explanation that are clearly provided for under our rules. And the procedure is very clear that you have to link up with the speaker and you're given a substantive time on the order paper to make that statement. Okay? So, and the honorable colleagues will get in touch with the office of the speaker because they have their full rights as honorable members of parliament. And we are all excited to have them back and we would want to see them speaking on the floor. So at the right time, it will be given, okay? Honorable Sirani had an announcement to make. So let me use this time regarding the Anglican chaplaincy. I feel he can communicate it better than how I will have.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity you have given us. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the members of parliament, both the Anglicans and the non-Anglicans, that is the Catholics and the Muslims and all the other religions. Tomorrow, we are going to host the Archbishop of Uganda, His Grace Kazimba Mugalu, at Parliament. And all honorable members are invited. We shall be in the conference hall at 5 p.m. Please come and we rejoice the love of the Lord. We shall be celebrating the Christmas carols, the Easter. I beg your pardon, honorable members. Maybe my mind has moved so fast. The Easter carols. We shall be celebrating Easter. Right Honorable Speaker, protect me from Honorable Godet. We shall be celebrating Easter carols tomorrow as the Anglican chaplaincy, and you are most welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 3, statements by ministers.
No, Honorable Cooper, you don't access a microphone without my permission, please. Colleagues, I want that to be made very clear. Just wait a bit. As long as I'm chairing, if you pick and you switch on a microphone, please know that I can't give you audience. Okay? So, help us on the correction.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Solomon, in this communication just stated that the Archbishop of Uganda There's no Archbishop of Uganda. It's the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda.
Thank you.
Because you cannot say the Kabaka of Uganda. It's the Kabaka of Buganda. So that must be corrected.
Thank you. Thank you for the correction. Next item.
Item 3, statements by ministers. Item 3, Roman 1, the status of implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals in Uganda.
Honorable Minister for General Duties, Office of the Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, allow me begin by laying on table the following reports. The Sustainable Development Goals Progress Report 2020-2021. Roadmap for the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals in Uganda 2020-2021 to 2024-2025. Voluntary National Review Report on the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. Uganda Annual Sustainable Development Conference Report 2022. Themed Building Effective Models to Accelerate the Sustainable Development Goals in the Post-COVID-19 Era. The High-Level Political Forum 2022, a synthesis of key highlights of the High-Level Political Forum 2022 report. And the fast-tracking Uganda's commitment to the 2030 Agenda, the National Secretariat report about all. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I'm only going to present a summary because the reports are many and you have given me 10 minutes, for which I'm so grateful. Right Honorable Speaker, the reports cover the achievements made, challenges, and the way forward in implementation of the new SDG roadmap, which is aligned to the ruling party manifesto, that is the NRM manifesto, the third National Development Plan, NDP3, the other government strategies, and other international development commitments. This report therefore highlights the efforts made in the coordination, monitoring, and reporting of SDGs, the SDG roadmap, the first national SDG conference, the high-level political forum, and the SDG report of the conference that took place in July 2022. In all these key events and interventions, the reports point to the key observations and actions required to guide SDG implementation. The SDGs were adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015. It was done as an annual call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all the people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. Through the pledge, leave no one behind, and serving the farthest first, countries committed to fast-track progress for these farthest people who are left behind. The 17 sustainable goals, with a total of 169 targets and 239 indicators, recognize that action in one area will affect outcomes in others, and that development must balance social, economic, and environmental sustainability. The SDGs are unique in that they cover issues that affect us all. They reaffirm our international commitment to end poverty permanently everywhere. They involve us all to build a more sustainable, safer, more prosperous planet for all humanity. Uganda recognizes the importance of SDGs' contribution to Uganda's social development and long-term development planning framework. Consequently, In 2016, the government instituted a national coordination framework under the leadership of Office of the Prime Minister that created an enabling environment for the state and non-state actors to achieve the implementation of SDGs. In Uganda, the SDGs have been implemented under the 5-year National Development Plan, that is NDP 2015-2016 to 2019-2020, and NDP 3 2020-2021 to 2024-2025, and in the long-term development agenda of Uganda Vision 2040. The Office of the Prime Minister and other key stakeholders believe that with only 7 years remaining to the end of the 2030 agenda, there is need for Parliament to be apprised on the SDG progress registered and share Cabinet approved recommendations to accelerate the achievement of the SDGs. The objectives of this presentation are mainly three. Apprise Parliament on the progress of the implementation of the SDGs in Uganda, share the critical SDG implementation challenges that have emerged during the implementation and coordination of SDGs, and 3, share Cabinet approved proposed measures to accelerate the attainment of SDG targets within the framework of our National Development Plan, Government's last mile strategy, the Parish Development Model. This paper and the issues raised therein have been developed during an analysis of trends and factors affecting SDG implementations, stakeholder consultations. All these issues were further consulted on internally with the technical leadership and top management of the Office of the Prime Minister and all the MDAs in government, the National Planning Authority, WUBOS, and the different ministries. And we also did consultations with the United Nations country team, civil society organizations, SDG reference group, the private sector, academia, interreligious council, and non-government organizations. During this reporting period, Uganda continues to register progress in SDG implementation through development of the new roadmap for the implementation of the SDGs 2020, 2021, 2024, 2025, which provides catalytic and strategic interventions for the accelerations of SDG implementation. I've already laid the report on table. Presentation of Uganda's second voluntary national review in 2020 aimed at sharing of experiences, successes, challenges, and lessons in order to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 agenda. This process has informed the rollout of voluntary local reviews at local governments, which enables reviews of SDGs progress at sub-national levels, and I've also attached the report to that effect. The government conducted an annual assessment on progress of SDGs and developed an annual SDG Progress Report 2021. This report highlights progress, bottlenecks, recommendations for each goal within the context of the National Development Plan 3. I've laid it on table. The government has also initiated a nationwide forum that brings together all stakeholders with an interest in the SDG implementation process called Uganda Annual Sustainable Development Goals Conference. The first annual conference was held in June 2022, preceded by regional forum. This year, the government will be hosting the second annual Sustainable Development Goals Conference in June and will be preceded by regional meetings. I've attached a report, but what I want to report to you, Right Honorable Speaker and members, that we would go and make reports as executive about the implementation of SDGs in this country without involving Parliament and without involving the judiciary. But in June 2022, we had consultations and discussions where the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Among, and the team represented Parliament in the discussion, and also the Chief Justice and the team were part of the discussion we have. 5, Uganda participated in the high-level political forum in Sustainable Development Goal in New York where the government shared experiences from the SDG conference and key models and voluntary national reviews were presented. I've also attached the report that we presented in the UN. Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, though Uganda has registered significant progress in attainment of SDGs, there are concerns about the likely negative impact of COVID-19 on the progress realized so far. The effects of COVID-19 will live with us, and we also have to devise measures how to live with the effects caused by COVID-19. There are also challenges related to limited financing of SDGs, data challenges, low levels of awareness of the local leaders to integrate SDGs within the local development initiatives, and low levels of digitization. The Office of the Prime Minister presented a cabinet memorandum on status of SDG implementation to the cabinet meeting, which was held on the 10th of October, 2022, under minute 359 CT 2020-130. The cabinet approved the following recommendations to accelerate the attainment of the SDG targets within our national development framework. 1, the Ministry of Health to work together with the Prime Minister and address the persistent outbreaks of malaria in the country. Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development to follow up with Uganda's ambassador to Azerbaijan on the pledge made by the government of Abidjan to give a grant to the government of Uganda to support programs directly benefiting persons with disabilities, because we had identified this was part of the team where we had not paid a lot of attention as government. Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to fast track the implementation of the integrated national financing framework as a means of mobilizing resources globally and nationally to support sustainable development. Minister of Finance to also revisit Uganda's domestic resource mobilization strategy and associated policies that take into consideration these emerging realities of underfunding to the different SDGs. Cabinet also approved that the Office of the Prime Minister, together with the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, to localize and popularize the Sustainable Development Goals. The Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries to create investment in agriculture to foster food security and stabilize food supply chains through policy initiatives to encourage value addition, support the central role played by e-commerce, and expand the digital information infrastructure in the country. This will ensure that data remains supreme in our planning and improve in the sector of agriculture, but also to take advantage of being a food basket in the region, and also make sure that also our neighbors are also not left hungry, since we can, if we do what we are supposed to do in terms of prioritizing data as a supreme actor in terms of planning, it would help us to even reach out to the neighbors. Uganda Bureau of Statistics to continue to expand on the SDG indicators that have data points in Uganda. The development of statistical plans by different entities should also be encouraged. Ministry of Public Service and Uganda Bureau of Statistics to reinstate the position of statisticians in the structures of MDAs and local governments for effective and efficient delivery of the quality data required at both national and local government levels for SDGs and other government programs, most importantly, our last mile, the parish development model. Ministry of Local Government to train local leaders to integrate the SDGs in the parish development model implementation and all local development plans, including the new cities. Ministry of Science and Technology to strengthen the engagement and mobilization of the public and private stakeholders with digital innovations and support them to scale up. The Office of the Prime Minister, mostly the Secretariat that falls under me, to conduct a comprehensive documentation to identify the people left behind, those at the risk of being left behind, where they are found and in what areas of service delivery they have been left behind. The SDG Secretariat to also take on additional role, especially to coordinate and follow up on the Africa Union's Agenda 2063. This is because the 2030 Agenda and African Union Agenda 2063 are both mutually reinforcing international and regional development strategies that support the national priorities of Uganda. The Office of the Prime Minister to always present a progress report both to Cabinet and to Parliament about the status of the implementation of SDGs. The government of Uganda, coordinated by the Office of the Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, to always present Uganda's voluntary national review report, the high-level political forum in New York in the UN, and also get ready to make a presentation for the high-level political forum report in New York 2024, where Uganda will be the hosting state. In conclusion, it is important to note the successful implementation of Agenda 2030 requires an integrated approach, partnership, and participation through inclusion and inclusive political processes and responses, effective and accountable institutions. It will require various stakeholders to identify solutions for planning, budgeting, implementation, monitoring progress towards achieving the SDGs, as well as tracking where and how funds are spent and assess the impact of these initiatives on the lives of the people we lead, especially key interest groups. Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, let's all work together to make the earth a better place to live for all, leaving nobody behind, serving the farthest first for God and my country. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. A clerk capture the whole statement on the Hansard for purposes of reference in future, because she has read the executive summary. The statement is very, very detailed. Colleagues, such a statement, the minister has made it very clear it's for information purposes. So it's for us to sit down, read, and it helps us when we are processing our business in the house and also tracking the progress being made on SDGs. But I will allow 5 members. Honorable Minister, there's something you needed to add on?
Just
Sorry.
one sentence, right, Honorable Speaker. The reports are placed I've laid on table. We have given every member a hard copy and they're in the pigeonholes. I just wanted to communicate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'll start with Honorable Ruhunda, with Honorable Tumuzigu, and then I pick Honorable Youth. Okay, Honorable Yakatonda, I'll pick on the next topic. And then I pick Honorable Namuga. Rope, you can guide me who is the minister, director, the shadow minister, Chiboga. Those are the 5 I'm picking.
Thank you.
Colleagues, this is for information purposes. You'll forgive me. When you look at our agenda, if we had a resolution to make, I would have allowed a very wide debate. But if it's for information purposes, the practice is in Commonwealth is very, very clear.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank the Minister
2 minutes each.
For giving this information. I will hasten to add, Right Honorable Speaker, that these SDGs, as we speak, they are very far from the local population, and including the local structures
government structures. Even when you go at the level of the districts, the level of the new cities, even including KCCA, you will find very scant information about SDGs, how they align their development plans with the SDGs. And yet this is well embedded in Vision 2040. But we have not made an effort of really getting our officials, technical officials, right from the local governments to the higher levels to realign and make this data user-friendly such that we can be able to make use of it and guide the development process. So it is my view and my good enough the Minister of Local Government is here that they mainstream the SDGs into every local development plan within the country.
Thank you. Honorable Tumuzigu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I take this opportunity to thank the Minister and the Secretariat for the SDGs. However, I want the ministry represented by the Minister to understand that without fighting corruption as one of the goals in our SDGs, there is no way we are going to implement them effectively. Because whatever we shall try to do, corruption will undermine it. Secondly, goal number 13, which is concerned with mitigating climate change. The achievements are not clear, Mr. Speaker, in the book. But to amend them or improve the achievements or the implementation, we need to remind this country that every day we lose forest cover and wetlands. It is not mentioned there. Honorable Minister, you need to mention it there that Uganda is losing wetlands and forest cover consistently, and therefore it will undermine all the efforts in implementing goal number 13. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Agnes Chirabo. Colleagues, when a colleague finishes speaking, you at least recognize his submission, his or her submission. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Or I might take it that you've not understood what he has said. Yes, Honorable Chirabo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I also want to thank the Minister for the statement about the SDGs, but my concern is about SDG number 4, which is poverty. Sorry, education first. Education, yes. I want to thank the government and the ministry for trying to preach the word of enrolling students or our young people down there to enroll for UPE and USE. However, I want them to note that these schools have no space, the government schools. Back in the 1990s, they had space because we were very few. But now we are very many, mostly the youths. We've given birth. Our students are studying in a very unpleasant situation. Then the second SDG I would want to comment about is SDG number 1, poverty. And I want to comment about parish development model. Right, Honorable Speaker, last week in my district, Luwero, I represent the young people of the entire region of Uganda. But in Luwero, they were launching PDM. I saw people testifying that they were receiving money, funds on their individual accounts. Right, Honorable Speaker, I did not agree with that policy, and I want members also to agree with me that this will it will put our funds at risk to complicated accountability and actually total loss of this money.
Thank you. Honorable Namuga Goretti.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Order.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'd like to thank the Minister for the presentation and appreciating that
could be Uganda needs to take a new direction when it comes to budgeting. Because according to what you've mentioned in the report, I think it's better that we start looking about Uganda's economy by rethinking a new direction of looking at a human rights approach to budgeting. Right, Honorable Speaker, when you look at the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals,
Colleagues, can we please, can we listen to a honorable member?
this calls for looking at a new reallocation strategy. Right, Honorable Speaker, whatever they are looking at requires resources. And you all know that we have a challenge in the resource envelope of this country. Right, Honorable Speaker, somebody has spoken about corruption. True, there is a lot of corruption. But what does it take, Right, Honorable Speaker, to fight corruption? I would like to appreciate this side that launched its budget speech on 31st. Right, Honorable Speaker, can government look through the strategy of the opposition with the theme of rethinking Uganda's economy by looking at a human rights approach to resource allocation? Because all these factors are being considered, Right, Honorable Speaker. We are all here looking at final service delivery, ensuring that the common person's welfare is improved, Right, Honorable Speaker. So I implore the Honorable Minister to really borrow from this side. The budget was read, and I implore you to get this document so that you can really implement the Sustainable Development Goals than just speech and talking about them. Thank you, Right, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues. Honorable colleagues, I just want to guide that the alternative policy statement or alternative budget statement by the opposition is not meant just for the minister, because the minister from this side presents and the shadow government presents. Now it's us who end up having a compressed and final document. Okay, so I would urge each one of us to read whatever document comes here, whether you like it or not, whether it's from your side or not. You know, for information purposes, it helps you. So what Honorable Namuga Goretti was emphasizing was that to read the alternative budget proposals as presented by the leader of opposition, and then that's why they are statutory. That's why they are on our rules, in our rules. They are recognized, and they are some of the documents we consider when we are processing the budget. Chiwoga.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, the Minister, for sharing with us. I belong to the SDG Forum here in Parliament, and I would like to put it to the attention of the House that every year we are provided with what is called the voluntary national reviews. And these reviews highlight on the types of SDGs to be reviewed every year. And for 2023, we have been directed on the SDGs to be reviewed, which I thought would form part of our report shared here. This year's 2023 SDGs under review is SDG 6 on clean water, SDG 7 on affordable and clean energy, SDG 9 on industry and innovation and infrastructure, SDG 11 on sustainable cities, and the SDG 17 on partnerships for the goals. But Right Honorable Speaker, the last time I approached our secretariat, I didn't find any staff, permanent and pensionable. They are contract staff whom I felt are not really accountable to us. So we needed to know the secretariat that is responsible for following up with the implementation. And then we are able to get a report from our minister every year. Different countries registered their participation in the political forum. Uganda, we have ever registered once, but they measure our performance based on the number of voluntary national reviews that we have participated in internationally. So we request that even when we have not participated in the national reviews, let us get a periodic review of the line.
Now,
I thank you.
Now, Honorable Shadow Minister, I would guide that this is a very comprehensive statement which the minister has presented, that would need at least an alternative in terms of how you've assessed what is being achieved. And we can use Rule 53 or Rules of Procedure, where the leader of opposition is given leeway to present a statement on any matter, and that statement would be debated. Okay, and doing that, he can appoint any of the shadow ministers or any of the people from the opposition to make that statement on his behalf or her behalf. Because your submission was really, I was speaking it, I was loving it, but the space I have doesn't allow me. So my guidance would be that you take opportunity of Rule 53, and then you give a comprehensive statement. We'll give you more time. You give us that information to share. Now, Rope, you want to make a statement when I've just told you? Eh?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like also to thank the Minister, the Prime Minister, for this statement. But Mr. Speaker, sir, the fundamental question would be, when we shifted from the Millennium Development Goals, which were 8 in number, to the Sustainable Development Goals, which are 17, with 169 targets. And much earlier before the Millennium Development, Africa had 3 enemies: poverty, disease, and ignorance, which graduated into 8 Millennium Development Goals, then eventually into 17. What is all this about? Is Africa, and Uganda in particular, part of the subjects for experiment? Are we guinea pigs? Because if you looked and dissected the 8 Millennium Development Goals, they were only meant, they were actually skewed for the developing countries. Now, later to look uniform, they brought universal sustainable development goals, 17 of them. And ever I was there pondering over the most difficult of these 17, combating, that is number 13, combating climate change, and something there. The developed countries that are experimenting on us are the biggest, actually they are the highly industrialized, the biggest emitters of greenhouse gases, and they are, you know, the boundaries, the artificial boundaries we have in our countries do not have walls that would block this carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide from polluting these ends where we are least industrialized. Mr. Speaker, when I look at the statement, it is hollow, because it mentions that PDM, Parish Development Model, Mr. Speaker, which is devoid of implementation strategy.
Honorable colleague, would you mind getting a more kind?
Okay.
Because you started by appreciating. So you appreciated the whole.
No, let me be fair. Let me be fair. The Prime Minister for the statement and for aggrandizing government for coming up with the parish development model, which is going to be the last mile strategy in attaining the 17 sustainable millennium goals. Mr. Speaker, to be sincere in my fairness, this is a mirage. It is like chasing a mirage, because we have seen many initiatives and interventions, right from the best was actually planned for modernization of agriculture, Onabagagawale and Tandikwa, recently Myoga, which are mere tokens. Now we see PDM, to be sincere, it is devoid of implementation strategy. Would it be the one that would raise our hopes, our ray of hope, that it would deliver us to the much promised land, okay, Canaan? Mr. Speaker, the whole cabinet had to sit with the Ministry of Health to discuss how to combat malaria. Malaria has been here for ages. Would it require a whole cabinet to grapple with a two-day meeting to discuss how to stop it? When countries, by the way, have already they have already secured vaccines for malaria, and even they are in advanced stages of destroying the mosquito, which is the cause of the malaria. But here, meetings upon meetings, now we are awaiting PDM miracles to combat malaria. Honestly, Mr. Speaker, I would defer. But let me conclude that this country, for years down.
Honorable,
I'm concluding.
Honorable Rope, if you had listened to me properly,
yes,
you would have taken advantage of Rule 53. You're making my work difficult.
That's where I was going. That's where I would want to come up with an alternative statement. An alternative statement to this House, Mr. Speaker. But the challenge we have is that you hardly take a leaf from some of these good raft of proposals which we make. But as I conclude,
who?
The government, of course.
Because when
the
you
government
say
in
you
power.
hardly,
The government in power. Recently, we came up with brilliant ideas in that alternative budget speech. But I highly doubt whether the powers that be have gone through it or have something to borrow from it. And this is also, that's why a serious regime would want to nurture a very strong opposition that is creative and innovative. But the regime we are in has issues. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, since 2014, we have never had a census. Now here we are, the minister in her statement on a bended knee to request for assistance for our persons with disabilities. The $1 million question could have been, have we prevailed over UBOs to conduct a census to know how many persons with disabilities we have? So as to be in the know whether this government, with the meager resources we have, we cannot take care of our own persons with the disabilities, that we should be on a bended to ask this country called I'm getting a massopur in my pronouncing the name of this country, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob. I think what I got out principally really is that we must get solutions for Africa from Africa. Not solutions, not problems identified with to go on graduating. And that's why we stood our ground in a bipartisan manner, all of us here, and supported, for example, the issue of developing our energy sector because of the energy poverty we face. Because the people who were stopping us, 10% of Europe constitutes 10% of the world population, okay? But they pollute 25% of global gas emissions. Now, Africa, we are 20% of the world's population. We pollute only 3% of global gas. I don't know, I ask myself, do they want us to go in a competition of polluting for them? And they say, no, don't develop your oil and gas sector, you're going to pollute the environment. But you're burning coal every day. So solution is what I pick from Honorable Ambition on top of other many things, lessons he has really brought on the table, is that Africa, we have to look at our solutions as Africa. But we should remember we are now in a multipolar world. So we have to work also within the global framework of countries tackling most of these challenging issues. Honourable Minister, I wanted to conclude.
Thank you so much, Speaker. And thank you so much, members. I want to thank you for the comments you've raised. I want to single out the one you referred to as the shadow minister, the woman MP of Chiboga, who was able to also, who took off time to get even to the secretariat to get details. I want to appreciate her for that. She has also been able to raise that the people who are at the secretariat are on contract. Yes, they're on contract, but they are paid by development partners, not by government of Uganda. That is a serious matter she has raised, and we are still grappling with that. But equally, in addition to that, the coordination work done by the secretariat, still the funding is done by the development partners, not by, funding is not from the government of Uganda. So as she raises that, that's also an issue. We as Office of the Prime Minister, as executive, as government, we must find a solution too, as also as being part of a sign of being committed as government to this issue. She has also been able to bring out the issue of the annual reports. Yes, we make the annual reports. And I want to pledge that as long as I'm still the minister in charge of SDGs, Office of the Prime Minister, General Duties, I will make the annual reports, because that is the only way we can bring it to the attention of you, the members of Parliament outside, those, including those who are not members of our forum, but also use this forum also to inform the country of what is happening. And that is when we shall also be following the different SDGs that are of a priority for that particular year. But allow me also inform you that when it comes to water and sanitation, SDG 6, we have been in the UN to make our report, and we still have to come here and make a report. So if it requires that we don't have to wait even for the annual one, Right Honorable Speaker, I'll put our prayer to you that if we could be accorded some little time and we make progress and report on the progress as per the particular SDG as time goes on. Issues to do with the raised by the leader of opposition. Yes, it is true. We left the Millennium Development Goals and went for Sustainable Development Goals. When we talk of the 17 schools, but being that there is peace in this country, people are enjoying, we are producing, still it is under these discussions that we have to be.
Thank you for giving way. You have said that corruption should not be mentioned in this discussion because we are focusing only on SDG. But I thought you are talking offshoot because corruption denies the country resources to target resources to areas which SDG is pointing at. So it's very, very important that we should plug that particular hole, which is taking a lot of resources. So let us not ignore the pandemic of corruption in the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, please conclude.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Member, when I was talking about the issue of corruption raised by Honorable Tumuzigu, I said, because Honorable Tumuzigu has said, can you also name it as an SDG? And I said, we cannot name it as an SDG, but it is something we recognize that it is impacting on the implementation of the 17 SDGs. So we cannot name it as an SDG to stand on its own, but it is something that we must recognize and all work together to make sure we fight it.
Thank
Rethinking.
Honorable Minister, let's stop there. Our time has gone.
Right, Honorable, just a minute.
This was for information purposes. So I really don't want us to.
Just a minute, Right, Honorable Speaker.
Please conclude.
The issue of rethinking our budgeting, as looking at SDGs as human rights, they are human rights. And that's why the NRM government took it up. Water is a right. That's why we must have a source of safe water on every village. Education is a right. That's why we have it as education for all, both primary and secondary, and also tertiary institutions, health for all. But what makes us not to achieve 100% are the issues that we must discuss, and as leaders, we must find solutions because we recognize them as rights for all, but we have not been able to make it possible for everybody. Where is the question? We must hold a discussion. I want to thank you, members, and I want to thank all those who are members of the SDG Forum. Let's keep working together. What we all require to make us happy, everybody requires the same. So it is us as leaders who must make sure we serve the farthest first, leaving nobody behind, working with everybody. I thank you.
Thank you. Procedure, Honorable Cooper.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the procedural matter I'm raising is in relation to always having a correct record of what is captured in Hansard. The Chief Whip, Opposition Chief Whip, stated 169 targets to achieve the 17 SDGs. The Right Honorable Lumumba talks of 213. I think we must correct the record. The correct figure is 169 targets that were adopted by 191 UN member states to achieve the 17 SDGs. So we must capture the correct record. It's 169, not 213.
Thank you. 169 targets and 263 indicators. 232 indicators as per your own record.
Right, Honorable Speaker, it is 17 SDGs, 169 targets, 232 indicators.
Yes, thank you. Good thing is the whole statement is also captured for future reference purposes. Next statement.
Item 3, Roman 2, statement on the Northern Uganda Social Action Fund, NOSA 4.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, members. I gave this statement last week and I have some little information that I have added. And I'm going to summarize. This is brief to Parliament on the Northern Uganda Social Action Fund. Northern Uganda Social Action Fund is an affirmative action and it is financed by World Bank, committed to address high poverty levels and socioeconomic disparities in the greater Northern Uganda. NUSAF 1 and 2 focused on infrastructure development, while NUSAF 3 focused on support to households. And NUSAF 3 ended in June 2021. NUSAF was implemented and it focused on a number of activities. This included agriculture and animal husbandry, fish farming, environment conservation, trade and value addition, water and roads. Having implemented that, a number of achievements were registered, bearing in mind that this was targeting the real grassroots households. And this included increased household income and assets like livestock, poultry, bicycles, radio, mobile phones, beddings, kitchen facilities, solar lighting and roofing materials, and increased household food security and increased household savings. Despite the government intervention, the poverty indicators are still high in Northern Uganda. And if you went to page 3, you will look at a table which is showing trends of poverty prevalence. And we have picked 9 sub-regions. The causes of high poverty in Northern Uganda are attributed to over-reliance on subsistence farming, lack of perennial cash crops, dependency syndrome, limited skills, lack of value addition, low productivity, land fragmentation, limited employment opportunities, environmental degradation, low access to financial credit, and poor mindset. So following the registered achievements, Cabinet in January 2022 authorized the Office of the Prime Minister, together with the Minister of Finance, to design NUSAF 4. It is proposed that NUSAF 4 will have a sub-regional focus and will support sustainable livelihood and shock-responsive interventions to build household resilience. The project will target the 39% of poor households in the subsistence economy. NUSAF 4 is estimated to cost $220 million as loan and $40 million to $50 million as grant. And it will cover West Nile, Acholi, Lango, Teso, Karamoja, Bukedi, Elgon, Bunyoro, and Busoga. We have a number of components. Number 1 is sustainable livelihood support component. Number 2 is strengthening safety net for enhanced resilience and human development component. Number 3 is transformational delivery system component. And this, it is envisaged, is going to complement parish development model, especially in these areas. Number 1, production, storage, processing, and marketing. This is pillar 1. Enhancing financial inclusion. This is pillar 3. Enhancing mindset change. This is pillar 5. And management information system, pillar 6. The progress so far made is that there has been There has been established an interministerial committee to design the NUSAF 4, and we have a number of ministries involved. OPM has since submitted the NUSAF 4 project concept, profile, and pre-feasibility study to the Development Committee of the Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance wrote to the World Bank on 3rd in preparation for external borrowing for NUSAF 4. World Bank has facilitated 4 design missions for their technical team to jointly work with the government in the design. A pre-appraisal mission ended last week. Consultations were made with some district chairpersons, RDCs, chief administrative officers, NRM chairpersons, and we plan to have consultations with members of parliament. So achievements so far made are that we have a refined project development objective and theory of change. We have outlined the key interventions by components. We have discussed geographic and household targeting parameters. We have also discussed the National Social Registry. And we are going to review the aid memo and the proposed funds flow. The next steps will be that we have further consultations with MPs and regional leaders. We have appraisal. We have negotiations between Government of Uganda and World Bank. We have World Bank board approval. We have cabinet approval. We have approval of Parliament, and we have full-scale implementation. All these are planned to take place between now in April up to July, when we have full-scale implementation. In conclusion, the NUSAF project design is on track despite the challenges of COVID. We should have actually designed NUSAF 4 when NUSAF 3 was still running, but it was not possible. The next challenge is limited resources and reduction in overall resource envelope for affirmative action, and this tremendously slowed down the consultative process. Our prayer is that the NUSAF 4 project can be supported and approved by Parliament and included in the proposed budget for financial year 2023-2024, and also given the enthusiasm and eagerness of the people and their leaders for NUSAF 4, we pray the program will be better implemented once we take off for the benefit of our people getting out of poverty. I beg to report.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Our colleagues, this is a clear update. Consultations are still ongoing. So there is no way we can start debating and submitting on a document still under development. Please bear with me. And I can see all who are standing up are MPs who are going to be consulted this April. So number 2, clarification is for when a member is on the floor. I don't have anyone on the floor. Next statement. Procedure, Honorable Aisha.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. As a matter of procedure, Right Honorable Speaker, wouldn't it be right for you to guide for the Honorable Minister to first do an audit on NUSAF 1, 2, and 3 before they bring in 4? We don't even know what was done previously. We have diverted from the original definition of NUSAF. Wouldn't it be wise for you to guide for them to do an audit, sir?
Thank you. Honorable, I think that wouldn't be for me to do at this stage. Why? NUSAF is coming here for approval. These are the questions you will raise. Did you do an audit? What is the basis of doing all this? So Rule 80 prohibits me. It ties me down. I don't want to engage into anticipation when things are still being done, okay? So procedure, Honorable Bigaros.
Yeah, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker,
in the recent iron seat distribution, it was in papers that NUSAF gave out iron seats. Wouldn't it be procedural right for minister to put this as part of the achievements other than rubbishing it? Because it came around the time Karamoja iron sheets also developed legs, where these our iron seats of NUSAF, if they are, it should be in papers. I mean, should be part of the achievements. Wouldn't it be procedural right, Honorable Speaker?
Thank you. Honorable Rule 80, Sub-Rule 2 of our Rules of Procedure. Rule 80, Sub-Rule 2 of our Rules of Procedure. We gave this assignment to the Committee on Presidential Affairs. They haven't brought a report. Therefore, there is no way I can start now making comments saying do this, do that. Oh no, Minister, you wanted beyond what is what you presented?
Just to confirm that NUSAF 3 had an evaluation report. I couldn't present it here. And when we go to consult, all those details will be given. But I also want to make it clear that NUSAF doesn't give iron sheets.
So, thank you. Next statement. Colleagues, just let me make it very easy. Let me make it very easy. If you want your record to be clean as a parliament, okay? When a minister clearly puts it, that consultations are ongoing and has not even consulted, they are just going to consult the MPs from the areas that are going to benefit, okay? Now it becomes difficult. You have an avenue. You have an avenue where you're going to raise all issues to do with that area. So I request we move on to another statement.
Item 3.
This came as a result of the update. We wanted to know, is NUSAF, did it end there or there is something new being designed? And I think we've gotten very critical information for now. For the next two statements, I don't see the ministers here. And also I had not yet received the statements. So colleagues, I just felt we should look at the order paper. We finish a very critical item that has a budgetary implication. Wanted to give it time, but I think we can use 20 minutes for the chair, the committee, the select committee on inquiry into operations of National Council of Sports to give her report, and then I guide further. Clerk.
Item 4, motion for adoption of the report of the Select Committee on the inquiry into the operations of the National Council of Sports.
Chair, the committee, Honorable Lola Anusu. 20 minutes, and then we go on parish development model. I was informed that ramps for persons with disabilities were worked on. Okay. Yeah, but at least they are there. Okay. And I want to thank the clerk, because by the time a member raised it, the clerk and team were already working, so they expedited the process. So the feedback taken is that they are very steep. But the complainants, they were not meant for the complainants. I will hear from persons with disabilities, representatives.
I do not want to give a comment on the ramps because there is an accessibility standard that this parliament should follow to make access for members of parliament with disabilities, and I want to implore them to look at it. Mr. Speaker, I would like to lay on table before I present the minutes of the select committee in the inquiry into the operations of the Council of Sports. I beg to lay on table. I beg to lay on table the report of the Select Committee on the inquiry into the operations of the National Council of Sports. I beg to lay, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay on table the annexes that will be referred to in the report. I beg to lay. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, I would like us to skip the first pages. The report has been uploaded. I'll just go straight to page 5, just to give a background of where we're coming from. On the 8th of November 2022, the Honorable Speaker, while congratulating the Cranes netball team for emerging number 5 in the First World Netball Championship in New Zealand, raised the concern over funding of the sports sector despite Parliament appropriating funds for the same. The Right Honorable Speaker thereafter directed the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to address the House the following day on the releases made to the sports subsector. Subsequently, on the 9th of November 2022, Honorable Evelyn Anite, the Minister of State for Finance and Privatization, presented a statement on the status of releases of the budget for the sports subsector for financial year 2022-2023. She revealed that Parliament appropriated a total of 47.81 billion to the National Council of Sports, of which 19.2 billion, 40% of the approved budget has been released for the first quarter of the financial year 2022-2023. Arising from the debate on the statement, members raised concerns over variations in the figures presented by the Honorable Anite and those presented by Honorable Peter Ogwang, the Minister of State for Sports. In the plenary sitting held on 10th November 2022, Honorable Asuman Basalirwa moved a motion to resolve that a select committee be instituted to thoroughly investigate the matter pursuant to Rule 190 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament. Consequently, a select committee of 7 members was instituted to inquire into the operations of the National Council of Sports, Q1 and Q2 of financial year 2022-2023. And these members are Laura Kanushu, myself, Honorable Solomon Silwanyi, Honorable George Solo Kayemba, Honorable Idi Isabirie, Honorable Donald Katarihwa, Honorable Agnes Achibu, Honorable Margaret Makoha. Mr. Speaker and members, I would implore you to look at the terms of reference. I'll talk about them, and the methodology I think we can skip. I'd also like to skip the overview. It talks about the mandate of the National Council of Sports, the operations and governance and management of the National Council of Sports. And let's straight away go to term of reference 1. Term of reference 1 was to ascertain the approved budget for the National Council of Sports for financial year 2022 and the budgetary amounts communicated by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. The committee established that on 20th May 2022, Parliament, in line with Section 14(1) of the Public Finance Management Act, appropriated 47,812,199,000 for the National Council of Sports for the financial year 2022-2023. The committee was informed that the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development communicated the approved budget of 47,812,199,000 to the National Council in the approved estimates revenue of expenditure, recurrent and development for central government votes for the year ending 30th June 2023, as indicated in the table below. Honorable members, I want you to look at the table. The committee confirmed from the submissions that National Council had a total of that amount. The observation of the committee is that the budget of 47,812,000 communicated by Minister of Finance to National Council is in tandem with the total amount budget for the National Council appropriated by Parliament for this period. In this regard, the committee commends the Minister of Finance for diligently executing its mandate. Term of reference 2 to establish the actual budget release to the National Council of Sports vis-a-vis the budget approved by Parliament for the period 22-23. The committee established that Minister of Finance had at 31st December released a total of 19,614,267,328 to the National Council of Sports for Q1 and Q2 for the year 2022-2023 to facilitate wages, gratuity, support to the various sports federations and associations as indicated in the table. The committee found that Q1, Minister of Finance released 9,365,000,000 and that to the National Council, representing 19.6% release performance. The committee further found that the total release for Q1 by Minister of Finance to National Council was 10,157,749,62, representing 21.25 release performance. The committee further found that whereas the cash flow plan for National Council for Q1 was 7,808,953,000, Minister of Finance released a total of 9,365,657, giving a surplus release amount of 1,156,779. However, in Q2, Minister of Finance released a total of 10,157,000,000 against the cash flow plan for National Council of Sports, which was 23,157,073, leaving a deficit of 12,996,324,501. The committee was informed that at times, National Council has received late releases from Minister of Finance, which affects the planned outputs of the Council and national sports federations. For instance, National Council revealed that the first release for Q1 was done on 15th of July 2022, and an additional cash release on 25th September 2022, which affected facilitation of Council's planned activities. Subsequently, the Council and some federations had resorted to running their budgets on unauthorized credits from moneylenders and contributions from well-wishers. The observation of the committee is that the budget performance in releases from Minister of Finance against the approved budget to the National Council was at 41% by the end of Q2. The total releases by Minister of Finance Q1 to National Council exceeded the approved cash flow planned by 1,556,056,779 under the non-wage component of the budget. And 10 billion was released contrary to the approved cash plan of 23,154,000,000, leaving a shortfall of 12,996,000,000 in Q2. This affected the implementation of planned outputs for the National Council. Late releases of funds by Minister of Finance is contrary to Regulations 14 of the Public Finance Management Regulations 2016 that provides that the Accountant General shall release funds to the votes every 3 months of a financial year and at any other time as the Secretary to the Treasury may determine, and these releases shall be by the 10th day of the first month of the period. This in turn affects the smooth operations of activities of the Council and the sports federations. The recommendation is that the Minister of Finance Planning should ensure timely releases of funds in order to enable smooth operations and the execution of planned outputs of the Council and federations. The Council and federations should desist from illegal borrowing since it contravenes Section 36 of the PFMA 2015 and may expose them to unguaranteed liability risks. The Council and federations should explore possibilities of obtaining additional funding from partners and private sponsors to invest in the development of the sports sector. Term of reference 2, to examine the criteria used by the National Council of Sports to appropriate budgets to sports federations and associations. the committee established that Section 3(2)(h) of the National Council of Sports Act requires National Council to approve expenditures of national sports federations. As such, the budgets for national sports federations are incorporated under the budget line transfer to other government units, which falls under the subvention recurrent component of the National Council budget. The committee was informed by National Council of Sports that it apportions budgets to National Council to sports federations through council resolutions based on prioritization of sports, which have a comparative advantage for Uganda as a country. However, the committee could not verify this assertion since there was no evidence of such resolution in the minutes of the board meetings of the council, which the committee reviewed. Accordingly, the committee did not find a documented criteria on apportioning funds to the national sports federations. Indeed, most of the federations the committee interacted with stated that they were not aware of the criteria used by National Council to apportion the budgets. They further informed the committee that the council only requested them to submit their annual budgets and work plans, but did not involve them any further in the budgeting process. Most federations alleged that in order to receive funds, the General Secretary, who is also the accounting office of the council, calls and requests them to first submit a requisition for a specific amount of money, which is then determined by him before the funds are transferred to them. For instance, the president of Boxing Federation informed the committee that the General Secretary of the National Council of Sports called him to submit a budget of 500 million, for which he did not, For instance, the president of Boxing Federation informed the committee that the General Secretary for the National Council called him to submit a budget of 500 million, for which he did not eventually. He only received 133 million for the federation. He further stated that he did not know how the Secretary General came up with the figure of 500 million and later on the 133 million, which was transferred. Nonetheless, the committee was not provided with the evidence of to authenticate this allegation. Observation of the committee, there was no policy guidelines that the National Council bases on to apportion budgets to the national federations. The apportioning of budgets is left to the discretion of the accounting officer. The lack of policy guidelines to inform budgetary appropriation to the sports bodies creates a policy vacuum that is prone to abuse by the accounting officer. And this affects prioritization of activities that are critical to the development of the sports subsector. The recommendation on this particular term of reference is that the Minister of Education and Sports should with immediate effect develop guidelines for apportioning funds to the national sports federations in order to ensure certainty in decision-making for transparency and accountability. The Minister of Finance should disseminate release to both the accounting officers and subventions to enhance transparency in the budget process. The accounting officer of National Council of Sports should strictly adhere to the provisions under Section 45(4) of the PFMA and remit the subventions received on behalf of the national sports federations in accordance with the approved cash flow. Failure to do this, the accounting officer should be held personally liable for contravention of this specific legal provision. Minister of Finance should explore mechanisms of releasing funds directly to federations in order to eliminate the possibility of unfairness by National Council of Sports in the process of apportioning funds to national federations and associations, as is the case with the parish development model upon building capacity of the federations and sports associations to be able to manage government funds appropriately. Term of reference 4, to inquire into the disbursement by National Council of Sports to the various sports federations. As noted earlier, the committee established that budgets for national sports federations are incorporated under the budget line transfer to other government units, which falls under the subvention recurrent component of the National Council budget. This budget line comprises of funds for the following: support to major international games from Team Uganda, which include Olympic, Paralympic Games, Commonwealth Games, All African Games, East African Community Games, and Islamic Solidarity Games. Facilitation for national sports federations and associations for qualifier games, and support to representative clubs in continental championships for tournaments. Consequently, as required by section 45(4) of the PFMA, the Account Office of National Council is mandated by law to transfer the said funds to support activities of the different sports federations and associations according to the annual cash flow plans issued by Secretary to the Treasury as required by section 15 of the PFMA. Releases by the Minister of Finance to National Council to support activities. The committee established that out of the total approved budget of 47 billion for 2022-2023, 38 billion was appropriated to federations under the budget line transfer to other government units. Of this amount, 7 billion was released by Minister of Finance in Q1, which 8 billion was released in Q2, totaling to 15 billion. As you may see in the table there, honorable members, the disbursements are in those two tables. The committee noted that where there were inconsistencies between the amounts released by Minister of Finance to National Council for federations and the amount dispersed by National Council of Sports to the federations. Whereas a total of 15 billion was released by Minister of Finance for federations in Q1 and 2, a total of 15,374 was disbursed to the federation for the same period, of which 7,911,109 was for Q1 and 7,463 for Q2, as indicated in the table. From the above table, National Council disbursed an additional 757,627,749 above what was released in Q1, and 862 billion less than what was released in Q2. However, National Council did not provide an explanation for this variance. National Council provided the committee with a breakdown of the disbursement to the various federations and major international games as indicated in the table below. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, again, I don't implore you to look at the table. From the above table, the committee noted that National Council disbursed 9,348,826,024 to 46 out of the 51 federations and associations in Q1 and Q2 of 2022-2023. It further noted that National Council disbursed a total of 6 billion for major international games, Commonwealth Games, and 5th Islamic Solidarity Games. The Council informed the committee that during Q1 of the financial year 2022-2023, it disbursed 4,865,000 and 1,160,6096 to facilitate the activities associated with Team Uganda's participation in the Commonwealth Games held in Birmingham, England, and to facilitate activities associated with Team Uganda's participation in the 5th Islamic Solidarity Games held in Konya, Turkey. The Council further informed the committee that during Q1, it disbursed a total of 7,463,000 to support national sports federations and associations. The committee was informed that whereas the approved budget for sport to major international game and Islamic Solidarity Game was 8,599,000, only releases of 7,153,481 for the in Q1. Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, again, members, I want to refer you to the table. It gives a clear picture. And the Islamic Solidarity Games on page 23, Islamic Solidarity Games. And then on page 24, disbursement to federations and associations for qualifier games. Again, the table is provided. There's also a table of funds disbursed to federations in Q2 on page 25, 26, and part of 27. On page 27, the findings of the committee on the disbursement to national federations. The committee established that whereas section 45(4) of the PFMA that mandates an accounting officer who receives a subvention on behalf of another entity to remit the subvention to the entity in accordance with the approved cash flow plan for the subvention, the accounting officer acted contrary to this provision. The committee established that most federations received less money than what had been approved, and others did not receive any funding from the council, which has in turn affected implementation of their planned output. For instance, federations representatives from FUFA, FUBA, UNF informed the committee of their withdrawal from participating in qualifier games and final tournament due to lack of funds, despite having presented work plans to the National Council of Sports. The committee noted that severe implications of the country's performance in international games, which have in some instances attracted financial penalties and liability to the country. A case in point was when the She Crane withdrew from the World Cup qualifiers that were scheduled to take place in South Africa in August 2022 due to lack of funds, which caused the country's standing to drop from 6th position to 7th position at the World Netball ranking and was fined 500 British pounds. The committee found inconsistencies regarding funds disbursed to the Uganda Rugby Union during Q1, whereas the council informed the committee that it released a total of 458 million to the Rugby Union. The committee found that it had actually transferred an additional 224,112 on 27th of July 2022, which the National Council did not reveal in its submission to the committee.
Honorable colleague, Honorable Chair, I can see you would need like 1.5 hours to read the whole of this report. And I'm not going to open up debate today, okay? So I want us to have debate on Wednesday next week so that members can have enough time to read through this report and even make consultations, and because it's a big report. So if I may request, you can do summary, and then we shall capture the whole report verbatim, the whole report onto the Hansard for ease of reference. And then members will have time to read it in detail throughout this Easter period.
Most obliged, Mr. Speaker. I will go to the final recommendations.
We are trying to clear off most of these things. You know, April and May are usually for the budget. I don't want to be interfering with the budgeting process, honorable colleagues, especially your attendance of the sectoral committees to scrutinize deeply the budget. So I want us to finish parish model. Tomorrow we handle issues of supplementary and all that. And then we go, at least when we've cleared most of the issues of the order paper.
Honorable members, we go to page, let's go to page 37. Or maybe not. Page 37, the committee recommends that the Ministry of Education and Sports fast tracks the sports policy and amends the sports law. I'm sure this has been overtaken by events. To provide a robust legal regime for better governance, management, development of the sports sector. The committee also recommends that Parliament speeds up the passing of the sports bill, which it has done. Again, it's been taken over by events, streamlining interventions to improve the sports sector. Page 39, the committee recommends that the National Council of Sports should ensure that the capacity of the national federations and associations is built in order to comply with the laws governing their existence and operations as mandated under Section 3 of the National Council of Sports Act. The committee also recommends that the Auditor General should carry out a forensic audit on all associations and federations that have received government funding for the last 5 years in a period not exceeding 30 days on the adoption of this report. The accounting office of the National Council of Sports should be held accountable for disbursing funds to federations despite falling short of the minimum requirement, yet it is mandated to oversee and audit the federations. Additionally, the council should halt the disbursement of funds to any federations that fall short of the requirements under the law. Honorable members, because I didn't read that specific term of reference, the committee realized that the council continued to disburse funds to federations and associations that had not actually accounted for specific amounts that they had received in the previous year. So this is where this recommendation is coming from. On page 41, the committee recommends that government should take deliberate steps to provide funds for the development of sports facilities and renovate existing ones that have been run down in order to ensure sports development in the country. The Ministry of Education and Sports should ensure that its strategic plan emphasizes the development of sports infrastructure as highlighted in government programs such as the NDP 3. Again, this comes from the fact that most of the members who came before the committee from the federations expressed the fact that there are no facilities for them to do sports to an extent that they don't even have where to train from. So this is where these recommendations come from. 47, the committee recommends that the National Council of Sports should put in place comprehensive and long-term strategies for sustainable for management and development of sports disciplines in the country. The National Council of Sports should carry out its mandate of overseeing the management of federations and should take deliberate steps to ensure that they are staffed, trained, and conduct capacity building. Ministry of Education and Sports should design an appraisal mechanism for National Council to assess the performance of federations since they are mandated under Section 3 of the National Council of Sports Act to facilitate their development. The committee recommends that the Inspector General of Government conducts an in-depth investigation of allegations of corruption made against the accounting officer of the National Council of Sports. Honorable members, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, again, it's in the report, if you read, certain federations made allegations against the Secretary General of the National Council, and one of the allegations was that he gives them a specific amount of money and asks them to account for more money that they did not receive. While we did not get concrete evidence, but these allegations came to the attention of the committee, and that's why we are making this recommendation. I will jump the study visit. We made a study visit and there were good things to learn from South Africa and how they're running their sports sector, and we wanted to borrow a leaf from there. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, it should be noted that the operations of the National Council are pertinent to the development of sports in the country, since it is mandated to develop, promote, and oversee sports activities in Uganda on behalf of the government in collaboration with the national sports federations and associations. The committee applauds the government of Uganda for its efforts towards the promotion of the sports sector, which can be evidenced from the country's achievement nationally, regionally, and internationally. However, it notes that there is need to streamline its management, funding, legal, and policy framework, putting into consideration emerging issues. Whereas the subsector is guaranteed and institutional framework as established under the National Council Act, the ambiguity of council's funding structure, which trickles down to the national sports federations and associations, has raised matters of transparency and accountability, which are key performance indicators of good sports governance. Despite the laws in place, there is still challenge of poor sports governance that have brought negative effects on national sports teams and sportsmen. The subsector has evolved from being merely a recreational and social activity to being impactful in terms of socio-economic revolution, and indeed, if well structured and managed, has the potential to boost local tourism, spread resource across the country, improve national branding internationally, and build social cohesion, among others. Therefore, the committee also calls upon government to implement the recommendations above in order to ensure development of sports in the country. Mr. Speaker, I want to leave the floor by saying that this report has a recommendation for both the National Council of Sports, a forensic audit on the National Council of Sports, and all federations to be carried out in not less than 7 days after the adoption of this report. This report also contains a recommendation about another important recommendation that this committee makes is that all federations, first of all, a forensic audit should take place, but also the National Council of Sports, a forensic audit should take place, but also that the allegations that came to the attention of the committee should be investigated to their logical conclusion. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, I beg to report.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you. Thank you. Colleagues. Honorable Alex, you had a procedure matter?
Thank you very much, Right
I
Honorable.
hope you're not going into the report.
No, I'm not going into the report. Mr. Speaker, sir, the procedure point I would like to make is that we had a debate here concerning the lack of football facilities for our friends and having our team go to Cairo. And when we look at this report, it is talking about the lack of development of infrastructure, sports infrastructure, and the minister was tasked to come with a comprehensive report to that effect. And unfortunately, the chief whip, the current chief whip, when he was in that office, he had made the effort to develop 2 stadiums for the country. And namely, Buhinga Stadium from Kabarole District and the Achibua Stadium. Right Honorable Speaker, would it be procedurally right that we combine, because you have ruled that the presentation is done and the debate on Wednesday next week, that we combine these two because they are intertwined, such that we can now fully exhaust the way forward in as far as the sports infrastructure and the governance of sports is concerned in this country. And I would beg to lay some of the information that I got from the minister during that time, Honorable Obua, when he was there, such that it is part of this debate. This is the evidence of the bills, of the feasibility studies done with the figures and facts.
Please, Lay.
Thank you.
He has said the source is the former minister for sports, current chief whip. So once you lay, I think we will be able to verify. We shall share. These are our documents, colleagues. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay a summary status of Chibua and Buhinga Olympic Stadia as given to me by Honorable Obua while he was the Minister of State for Sports. I beg to lay.
Thank you. Now, Honorable Minister, is our statement ready so that we work on it? And
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. To me, it's about the question of the order paper. When you'll be give me time as a ministry, specifically as a sports subsector, to come and make a presentation on issues which members raise regarding the ongoing works in Ambole. And then the other one was a question of infrastructure across the country. It's true, I want to confirm, Honorable Hamson Obua is here, that the government of the Republic of China did pledge to give a grant to Uganda to construct Buhinga and Akibwa Stadium. But like I did say the other time, the government of China did again confirm to the Minister of Finance that they lost interest in funding the 2 projects, which I want to confirm here
Honorable Alex Ruhunda, Member of Parliament from Fort Photo City, as laid before this floor. Number two, Madam Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable, are you submitting your statement?
No, before I didn't first say one or two things because I want to confirm.
Please, Honorable. Honorable.
Then
What will your statement contain?
Right Honorable Speaker, can I comment on the report? First of all,
No, please, Honorable Minister, please, just let's move together, isn't it? Honorable Minister, I would propose, okay, and let's agree. If the debate is Wednesday, you will comment on the report on Wednesday, because we need you here on Wednesday. Now, if I allow you to comment, then I will allow the shadow minister to comment. Then the issue, and my projection had been 4 p.m. Please. So, Honorable Minister, bring your statement on Wednesday. We shall handle it together, okay? Together with the colleagues. When I'm speaking, allow me to speak. Please. Okay. I don't finish quickly. So, honorable colleagues, that's on the right note, we are here bored, so some people get bored, so we need. So, honorable colleagues, what I was saying, Honorable Minister, as long as your statement is ready, and I want to guide the ministers, when a statement is ready, submit it to the clerk. Then we are able to design the order paper. Not that we first you first get our permission, then you submit the statement. So kindly have it ready. Then on Wednesday, we give you space, and then you will also comment on the report, and we give it very enough time. But let me ask you, when the speaker has guided, I don't know why Sarah wants me to finish. When you've guided, yes, when you've guided properly in terms of the next step on an item, then the procedure does not apply. So can I go to the next item like I guided? Can I go to the next item? What's up? Under rule? Kindly refer to the rule.
Right Honorable Speaker, I am speaking under Rule 84.
Okay.
And 83 actually. That Right Honorable Speaker, when you talk about Buhinga Stadium, you are talking about Rwenzori region, and I belong there. Wouldn't it be procedurally right that when the minister is bringing his statement, he even gives us justification? You mean China did not even give reasons? They simply they just lose. In his statement, can we get the justification why China had to lose interest? Maybe the government was supposed to do a counterpart. After gaining interest, then they lose interest. What happened? Can we see even the letter that they should have written? Right Honorable Speaker.
Please, honorable colleagues. Please, honorable colleague, I'm looking at the rule you referred to, of which is Rule 83, Now, you refer to rule that refers to behavior of members, and then you end up violating Rule 80. Because I had already guided properly that the minister brings the statement on Wednesday. Now you want the minister to comment on issues which will be in a statement. Then anticipation comes in. So I request we be patient. We hold our guns, okay? And we wait for the minister up to Wednesday. Shadow Minister for Education, you had a procedure matter you insisted. Under rule. Proceed.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I just wanted to inform the House that actually the Committee of Education and Sports produced a report on the issue of Buhinga National Stadium and Akibwa. And actually, I won't leak the report details, but all those issues were raised, even the question on the
responsibility of the minister. So it would be very important, because it's in the business to follow, to have the report. And there are many answers to most of the questions.
So
have
that
been
report
raised.
is also about sports?
Yes,
in
yes,
January?
specifically
Okay, so
on the two issues.
Yeah,
the two
let's
stadiums.
let's go back and
Thank you.
review with the crack. We'll see how best it can fit in, okay? Now, colleagues, Rule 78 sub Rule 4 says when you stand up on a point of procedure, you must state the rule. I have been lenient, but when I see, you know, procedure, now I'm going to start, I'm going to start applying the rule strictly. Okay? Yes, Honorable Musira John.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I'm not speaking about anything not raising.
Under what point? Because if you stand
under
up,
your own chair, Mr.
Honorable
Speaker.
Musira,
You excited us, especially the honorable ladies here, when you said you don't finish quickly. Thank you.
now, please, next statement. Honorable Bigaros.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Paralympic team had their own winner who should have gone to Birmingham. But this small innocent girl from Moyo with one hand who won the Paralympic, and she was all over newspapers, was unable to go because of funding. Wouldn't it be procedurally right for the report to capture this so that next time we are able to facilitate these under 18s to participate outside this country to put our name on the map? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable member, you have debated, so on Wednesday, I don't expect you to debate because that's a submission on debate. We go to the next item. Chiboga?
Sorry, Speaker, for not quoting the rule, but last week, I formed a part of the select committee to investigate on the investment in the development of the stadia. But the committee is composed of only 4 members. I think it was an oversight. We needed to be 5 members in order to bring out the report, the quality report. So I'm requesting that procedurally we need to constitute the committee to 5 members. We are only 4. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Now let me go back, okay? Let me go back. I consult with the clerk. I first get the facts clearly, colleagues, before I commit myself on anything, okay? So let's go to parish model. I have spoken to chairperson, budget committee. The next item on supplementary budget, they were not yet ready. So it's better we proceed to the next one. Yes, Honorable Aisha, procedure.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I raise on rule number 45. 2 weeks back, I asked a question, rightly filed with the clerk to Parliament. Some questions have been answered this time, and there are also questions on the order of business, in the business to follow, but my question is not reflected anywhere. May procedure be guided? What should I do next? It is due for answer.
Please kindly share it with me in office. I'll ensure that it goes on the order paper and is answered, okay?
Most obliged,
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable.
But Speaker, we didn't understand whether you were asking a question from us or you were asserting about the time to finish. Were you asking a question or you were asserting that you take long to finish?
Honorable, I request you to avoid such issues, especially during the months of Ramadan. So let's go to the next.
Item 6, motion for adoption of the sub-regional oversight reports on the Parish Development Model, PDM.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, I want to guide on this item. Last week, Lango sub-region made a comprehensive a comprehensive report on this matter. This is a program which is structured in a national manner. So the issues you find they are cross-cutting. And if we are to say all the 18 sub-regions present, we shall be repeating ourselves here day after day, day after day, day after day. I was of the view that we have the report from Rango as a benchmark. And I have even seen some of the reports. In some regions, only 2 members have signed. You know, others, so you'll find members, you're presenting on behalf of members who have not even signed. Around 10% generally. Then I haven't received the report for Acholi sub-region. Yes, so, but most of the issues are cross-cutting. So I'm proposing that we open up the debate now, and then you pick out if there are unique issues you found in your area that were not captured under Rango, okay? And those issues are brought to the fore. Otherwise, we shall need more than a week of being here, handling just parish model, okay? Honorable Okro.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for your guidance. However, Right Honorable Speaker, I just want to make a humble request. We did prepare these reports. If you don't allow that, we could just lay them on table so that they are captured. That is all.
Yeah,
laying
sure.
would be proper. Otherwise, preparing and not laying them would be really a bit of a challenge on us.
Were they laid before?
No, for the remaining
Okay,
regions.
so now what we can do, I think what is raising is very, very important. Leaders from the different sub-regions, please, you can lay the documents on table. Okay? So, and we can call sub-region by sub-region.
Acholi sub-region, West Nile,
Honorable Timothy Isa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Kindly allow me to relay a report of parish development model oversight for West Nile sub-region signed by the members. Thank you.
Thank you.
I beg to lay.
Thank you.
Buked sub-region,
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the performance of the PDM monitoring by the Bukedi sub-region leaders, members of parliament. I beg to lay.
Thank you.
Busoga sub-region,
Honorable Agnes Taka.
Right Honorable Speaker, Usoga sub-region, we had uploaded the report for all members and the chairperson who had the copy is not around. So I had only prepared to present. We will participate in the debates.
No, Honorable, we are an e-parliament, okay? Since it is uploaded on our fresco, you lay it's captured. We shall capture it in our.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Bugisu sub-region,
And I request the ones, colleagues who are laying, please, you can come on the front bench so that we don't waste a lot of time moving around. And
Right Honorable Speaker, this is the report for Bugisu sub-region on the status of the parish development model as the terms guided by the Speaker. I beg to lay.
Thank you.
Teso sub-region,
Right Honorable Speaker, this is the report of TESO Parliamentary Group. The report on regional PDM implementation monitoring from 6th to 24th, 2023. I beg to lay the report and the annexures therein.
Thank you.
Karamoja.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the PDM monitoring report for Karamoja Parliamentary Group for the 9 districts. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Honorable.
Sebei. Sebei sub-region.
Someone from Sebei? No, because we. Okay.
Ankole.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the joint report on the PDM parish development model of the Ankole sub-region. The monitoring report I beg to lay.
Thank you.
Chigez sub-region.
Honorable Tahigwa is here. Please lay, come and do the report on Sebei. We even have the commissioner. Eh?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Our Chigez report is already uploaded and I beg to lay.
Thank you.
Bunyoro sub-region.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Our Bunyoro sub-region report is also uploaded and I beg to lay, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Luenzori sub-region.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay a joint monitoring report on the status of the implementation of the parish development model for Luenzori sub-region. I beg to lay.
Thank you.
Tolo sub-region.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay a report on parish development model implementation for Tolo region. I beg to lay.
Thank you.
Uganda sub-region.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the report of the Central Region, Uganda, on the parish development model. I beg to lay, and it's already on the network. Thank you.
Thank you. Is someone from Sebei around? Yes, Honorable Saropendi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I have my iPad and I was checking through as members were reading. I have not seen the Bunyoro report uploaded. Yes. I beg to be guided.
Yes, Honorable Saropendi, the report of Bunyoro was received in our office and it's on the iPad. So we shall ensure that you receive it. Okay? Thank you. So, colleagues, yes. Colleagues, the question I put for debate is that this House adopts reports of sub-regional oversight visits Yes, Achori, colleagues, I made it very clear, Achori, I have not received it in office.
Right Honorable.
So they cannot lay what they've not submitted to the clerk and the speaker. Oh, youth also did their report. Please, if there are interest groups which did their reports, I would give them a chance.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay a report on the parish development model titled a status report on the implementation of the PD of the parish development model by the youth members of parliament. I
Thank
beg
you.
to lay, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. This is a special interest group. Thank you. Colleagues, now the question for debate is that Parliament adopts sub-regional oversight reports on the parish development model. Debate opens now for 60 minutes. So how we are going to do it, colleagues? I will start from the back. Okay? And then I go to Korua. I go to Flavia. I go to Makinde Sabagabo. Then I pick PPP. And then Milton Muma. Then I come here. Then I will do a round, colleagues. You participated. You have all these issues. Let's use just 2 minutes to ensure that all other colleagues can also participate in the debate. Let's be fair.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to also to thank your office for giving us leave to go down to our constituencies. Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, as far as development model is concerned, there are a lot of issues, particularly in regards to allocation in parishes. For example, in Apache, one of my parish, Abedi, in Apache sub-county, has 20 villages. 20 villages, but comparing with other parishes, which has 10 or 9 villages, or even 3 or 2. But they are given a similar location. And in Apache, we have Apache district at 33 circles. Apache municipalities, we have 20 circles, totaling to 53 circles. And so far, a total of 32 million has been disbursed into the circle accounts. But the big challenge, Right Honorable Speaker, the community cannot access funds from these circle accounts. Right Honorable Speaker, this is a planting season, and this is the first rain. Our first rain in the north now begin from the month of March to April. Now we are ending. For those parishes where they have selected agriculture as their enterprises, now they cannot access those funds, and they are in a dilemma. So the means of the Office of the Prime Minister, they are coming with guidelines after guidelines. Let them come with just a single guideline and allow our farmers access this fund.
Thank you. Crack, I don't think that was 2 minutes. Please, in the interest of allowing more members to participate, need more time. Honorable Korua.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to thank the Speaker for giving us opportunity to do the monitoring of these funds. Just similar to what my brother has just mentioned, in my constituency of Toroma, we have about 30 circles. According to the documents we have, it indicates that the money is on the accounts in the selected banks. But when these people or when these groups go to the bank to withdraw the money, totally there is nothing. This is very bad, and yet it is really true that it is a very good planting season now. So these people need the what? The seeds. Then finally, the supporting staff who are supposed to sensitize these people or the beneficiaries, totally they don't have any facilitation. They even fear reaching to these communities because the communities become they become wild, and this makes this program not run very well. I submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Flavia.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, in my area, in Kasanda district, I actually realized that most of the circles have not yet received funds. Although the district claims to have received the money, we spoke to some district technocrats and they say they send them, but the circles reflect no money on the bank account. So I think for me, this is something we really need to take into consideration and see that funds are submitted, are disbursed as soon as possible. I also realized in some of the circles that we are speaking with that there is an element of non-inclusivity and bipartisanship within the circles and how they are recruiting some of the members that are recipients of the funds. Now, most of these circles are occupied by NRM cadres. We don't know whether the parish development model was brought up to just cater to NRM cadres, because for them they say this is their thing, this is their money, and so they are occupying every seat and they want all the funds to themselves. So my recommendation is that the party does not hijack, political parties, especially the NRM, does not hijack the parish development model, because it's supposed to help everyone and benefit everyone. That is the key thing that I realized. And finally, we also realized that there is lack of agriculture inputs. For example, there is uncoordination of the agriculture inputs for most of our farmers in the circles that were promised seeds, but they don't even have the right information to this. So the recommendation there would be that one, information is coordinated well. Who disburses information to these circles? Who is in charge of giving them the seeds and the agriculture inputs that they need? The rainy seasons are here with us, but up to now, there is nothing that the farmers have received. These are some of the submissions and the reports that I got from Kasanda district. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Makindi Sabagabo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to appreciate the government to come up with this program. However, I have 3 recommendations. One, we need to come up with a monitoring and evaluation program so that we can monitor this money. You cannot succeed with such huge sum of money without monitoring and evaluation. So we need to come up with some funding for that. 2, we have to come up with a ward development model, because in cities we have very many people compared to villages. I'll give you an example. In my constituency, I have a parish called Masaja Division, Masaja Parish. It has 150,000 people. So if you are giving 100 million, this very little money, it cannot work in wards. So we better leave the parish development model for villages and we come with a ward development model for cities. Lastly, I want to recommend that we skill the beneficiaries, because we are targeting the most needy. These are the people who know nothing, they cannot do any business, they will just eat the money. So it's better we first skill before we give them the money. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable Aisha, then I go to PP.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, there is a disconnect between Electoral Commission and the local government. In 2019, new parishes were created and they became electoral areas and councillors were elected for those areas. But while allocating money, Ministry of Finance and local government did not consider these parishes. In my own district, two parishes were created, Kakubo and Kamgombwa. They were left out. The old parish is saying they're not going to share with them because they're not part of them. And these people don't know what to do. Letters have been written, and local government is saying for them, they've never gazetted those parishes and they do not know them. This disconnect between the Electoral Commission and local government is causing a problem. Secondly, the guideline that says that the circle leaders should not be able to get money is also defeating a guideline. In all fairness, people who manage funds are given opportunity also to benefit. They are part of them, but now guidelines have been released that they will not benefit, or they'll be the last to receive. They have lost morale now to manage their own colleagues. I beg that those issues be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. PPP.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Parish Development Model Project is very good on papers, but the delay that it is taking will make people soon lose interest in the Parish Development Model. I have heard from my district people, even if the Acholi Parliamentary Group has not laid theirs on table, but I have heard that they are telling the individual SACCO members to open up their accounts in the bank. How many accounts shall we be opening in those banks? For example, if a local person opens an account in the bank and he has borrowed maybe 200 for maize seeds, and the maize takes about 3 months in the field or 4 for the person to start getting the money to service the account, how many accounts will be closed? So some of these issues, we need to really streamline them. The second issue is that I want to report also in line with what Honorable Aisha reported, that 2 parishes in my constituency has not been included in the second batch of the purported 25 million which was sent to the account. This is the parish of Gorokong and Omeda in Aru North constituency. I just wanted it to be in record because I already told the Minister of Local Government about the same issue. So these parishes have already been created, and for the case of Omeda and Gorokong, they even registered with the cooperative society. They have the certificates. So we do not know why they were left out in the 25 million, which is stated that it is sent in the account. I myself sent 3 groups to the account to check on their bank accounts. The 3 groups went to the bank and bank denied them checking on the account, meaning the money is not there in the account. And everybody is saying money is not there because I tasked our cow on.
Honorable Woman.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Let Mama conclude.
I wanted to conclude that on the Women's Day, I tasked the cow to give the women the proof that money is on the account. And cow was also tactful enough. He says, I am not a signatory to those accounts. Ministry of Finance sends money straight to the parish circles. Okay. So for him, he could not give the update. Thank you so much.
I have allowed Honorable Santa Okot just an extra minute because she's the chief whip of PPP. Honorable Woman.
Yeah, thank you very much. Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, thank you so much for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, 3 key issues. One, the discrepancy in disbursed amounts to different parishes is a key observation across all parishes in the country. I have a parish that got 17, another one got 25, another one has got 45. But we were flagging them at the same time. I wonder when we were rating them, who will be rated how and for performing how. So these are issues that we want the minister to address. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of facilitation and budgets for parish chiefs, they have been kept aside and we are asking them to monitor what they have not been involved in. So we are appealing to the minister to look for something that facilitates the movement of the parish chiefs. Mr. Speaker, the issue of ever-changing guidelines. Every day in the morning, there are different guidelines guiding this program. At midday, different guidelines. So we may end up losing out totally if this is not addressed. Finally, Right Honorable, is the issue of same beneficiaries in all government programs. Those that benefited from Bonaba Gagawale are the ones benefiting in Emioga, they are the ones in the PDM, hence not addressing what this program emphasized from the onset. I thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'm picking another round. Let me first pick. Wow. No, now I'm going here. Yes. So I'll pick PWD. I pick youth. I pick Honorable Kutesa. Katanya, you've not spoken for long, so I will pick you. Obama will come back, don't mind. I pick Honorable Naigaga. I pick Eldare. No, not Eldare. She's not she's an elder, but she represents a constituency. So I'll pick Maracha. Yes. Then I'll pick Okirol. And then, yes. And then I pick Okwi. And then Stella at the back. Then I'll pick you, Korix. Yes. Let's do 2 minutes. We do quickly. Zumra, don't mind. I'll pick you. Let's do 2 minutes. Nyamutoro, don't mind. I'll pick you, Korix. Let's do.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my concern about the parish development model is about the 10% that is designated for persons with disabilities at every parish. Mr. Speaker, we had a number of them in Chankwanzi to consult on the parish model and also other things. And the problem has been exclusivity. Mr. Speaker, our understanding was that persons with disabilities in a particular parish will be allowed to constitute themselves into a circle for them to be able to get their 10%. So for example, Mr. Speaker, if there's 500 million going to a parish, 10% of that money should be going to persons with disabilities. Mr. Speaker, to our disappointment as members of parliament representing people with disabilities, they have been refused to come up with their own circles. They are being told, go and join the rest of the circles. As members of parliament, how do we then monitor that the 10% that is designated for persons with disabilities is actually being, the people are benefiting from it, utilized by the persons with disabilities? Mr. Speaker, we would like the minister to come out clearly and tell us whether the 10% was a lie to persons with disabilities, or it was actually because they are not getting it, they're being told go and join other groups. Then how shall we monitor and assess the 10% that is designated for 10%? And this is the most vulnerable people in the whole country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Okay, please do.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. If you recommend that 10% in a parish be given to the disabled in that parish, and you presupposed that was recommended by the ministry, but you presuppose that if it's 500 million in a parish, then 10% go to the disabled people. You might find a parish there is one disabled person. So do you suggest, can I pose my question? Do you suppose that the whole 50 million shillings would benefit that particular one person in that parish?
Honorable Kabanda, first of all, there can never be one person with disability in a parish because there's a whole executive. The leadership of persons with disabilities is from the village to wherever there's 5 at least and 6. But also, I have not seen a parish, at least when we went to monitor, we didn't see where they told us that we only found one person with disability. The comments we had was, we have been refused to come up with our own circles as persons with disabilities. And therefore, how do we access the 10%? But there's a leadership at every level in this country of persons with disabilities, including the parish. So it can't be one person at the parish. I thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, please. Colleagues. This is very easy. What Honorable Aisha is raising and what Honorable Kanushu is raising are for purposes of information for the minister to go and study further and find out if there are parishes where they have not even formed circles or where the disabled people are not benefiting. I think as representatives we would have done our part. And you might find in a certain area, for example, you might have people who are disabled, but those people do not qualify for PDM money because there are other qualifications needed for you to get that PDM money. So both of them are having valid arguments, but it's now the minister who is in charge to ensure that he takes the information and he comes back with very clear solution. The people I had picked, the honorable colleagues I had picked. So for you, you're disabled in which part? So
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to start by stating that an empowered youth is a very strategic resource for development. Right Honorable Speaker, just 4 core concerns. One is that the young people need clarity from the minister as to whether the 30% that had been proposed in many implementation guidelines are on membership or on the funding. Because just like the PWD, many of the young people have been told they cannot form their circles, but instead join the other circles. 2 is on the timing of the interventions. The young people have been clear that this is an agricultural financing model, and therefore it must be cognizant of the planting seasons, because in the past we've had programs where inputs or support is delivered at the wrong time, and therefore we waste a lot of taxpayers' money. 3 is on the inclusion of the youth. By the guidelines, it is stated that the parish youth council chairperson will be part of the committee. But we've noted, Right Honorable Speaker, sorry.
conclude because youth is a huge constituency.
Asante for the support, Right Honorable Speaker. So the young people are unpleased that in some areas there has been nepotism, and the elected youth parish chairpersons have been relegated or excluded, and yet from the guidelines they are supposed to be part of the committee. And also they want to deliberately and meaningfully be included in the circle leadership if there is a quota for them. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, is on information. There is a lot of contradictory information about the parish development model. And our prayer is that they harmonize these guidelines, but also the guidelines be translated in the local languages, because the majority of the people that we are tending to are illiterate, and so we need these guidelines simplified to them in the local languages.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, colleagues, Honorable Naigaga, you can just hold on a little. Just youth MPs are few, okay? And they were rising up. Let them supplement on what their colleague has said, and we know the youth have sorted. It's Honorable Chirabo, and then Honorable Nyamutoro. 2
Thank you.
minutes each, and Honorable Nen.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mine is very small because I have an issue. This PDM program is very good for the young people. But now this policy of dispersing money on individual accounts, Right Honorable Speaker and members, is not right. I thought what we agreed here and what we passed was to wire money on group accounts, groups that have planned projects for implementation, not on individual accounts, because these funds are exposed to the risk of complicated accountability or even failure to account for that money. So that is my issue. We are going to make total loss of this money if they do not revise that policy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Nyamutoro.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Allow me add a voice of emphasis on the access of the PDM funds by young people in the country. Right, Honorable Speaker, the ministry had clearly gazetted 30% of the PDM funds for the youth. But there is a variation that on the parish committee, there is a select position of secretary for youth, and yet there is no representation on the circle leadership. The circle is where the money goes. So that is the biggest challenge as to why young people cannot access the money from the circle. But most importantly, Right Honorable Speaker, we have faced lots of challenges from revolving funds as these, right from the times of the Youth Livelihood Program, because of lack of capacity building. Our question is, when does the ministry intend to build the capacity of these young people before they can access the fund? Because without financial discipline, we are worried that this money will go to waste, Right Honorable Speaker. We also request that since the Gazette is 30%, it would be very important and particular if the ministry could have a youth guideline for the young people specifically to follow, so that their groups are exact on what enterprises they can set up and how best they can benefit. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nen.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. One of the challenges that our people are facing is actually in determination of the poor among the poor. Aware that most of our people, most of our communities are generally poor. It's huge problem that the leaders of circle in our places cannot determine who is poor among the poor. And then this leaves so many of our young people isolated from this project that would otherwise be beneficial to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Naigaga.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I have two issues to raise the minister. One of them is the lack of staff in the strategic positions at the lower local governments. As we talk now, some parishes in some districts don't have parish chiefs. Some sub-counties don't have agriculture extension workers and community development officers. And yet, as per the presidential directive, we didn't have to beg by the Ministry of Public Service to have these strategic positions filled. I want to re-echo the issue of inequalities and inconsistency in the release of funds. Right Honorable Speaker, we received funds in 2 batches. The first batch was from the Ministry of Local Government, the mother ministry of the lower local governments. It is quite unfortunate that it released less money, and as Namutumba district, out of the 111 parishes, only 53 received the first batch of 17 millions. And the second batch from the Ministry of Finance was cross-cutting, and it was very clear each parish got the 25 millions. So we want the Ministry of Local Government to clarify on this, yet they are the custodians and the mothers of the lower local governments. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Honorable Shatsi, and then Honorable Katanya, Honorable Mede.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The challenges of the PDM are immense, and just like Myoga, we will continue to have challenges, but I wanted to inform you that Zimbabwe as a district, and in particular my constituency of Maogola North, I already have 117 beneficiaries from 3 parishes, and by the end of this week, 65 parishes which make up Zimbabwe district will have received their money. The beneficiaries will have received their money. So as we look at, as we vouch for community mobilization, information, mindset change, there are good stories to tell. I'm following up as the MP, knowing this is part of my role of oversight. And I just want to emphasize this is a government program which must work. And for those who are keen, just like Myoga, I have good stories to tell that people have returned funds, and Myoga is working and PDM can work, but we have a lot of work to do.
but there's a good story from Zimbabwe. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Katanywa.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm Katenya Isaac, Member of Parliament, Waramboli constituency. I'm raising on two issues, especially in the issue of the first and second pillar. I wanted to ask the Minister of Local Government, the first pillar on production, storage and processing and marketing, and then the second pillar on infrastructure development and economic services. Mr. Speaker, you discover that right now have already started producing, they are soon be starting to produce goods from gardens and other areas, but we don't have preparations for storage services, and the money which has been provided does not cater for these storage facilities. And on the issue of infrastructure development, like for us in the Erigon zone, after the disasters, we are facing problems of roads, especially federal roads in the parishes and sub-counties. The money you provide is extremely very little. And people keep on asking us that the roads are bad and the PDM program provided for this infrastructure. When will you provide, and when, how much money did you budget in this financial year, 2023, 2024, for the development of infrastructure under PDM, so that we can be in a position to tell, we have questions we cannot answer. And then when you are also changing guidelines for PDM, you don't inform us as members of parliament. We go to the radios, people call us, but we cannot have answers to some of the questions we normally face from the public. So I think, Mr. Speaker, I think the Minister of Local Government should be in a position to make clarification on those three issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Okror, and then Honorable Matia.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rather have about two observations to make. I want to associate myself with the able submissions of colleagues, but specifically from the angle of Katakwi. There is a challenge, and this challenge can only be resolved by Minister of Local Government. We have the funds which have been sent to these respective accounts, the SACCO accounts, but what is happening is that the stakeholder trading in respect of the Parish Development Model Management Information System and the financial inclusion system has not been done. Minister of Local Government has not trained the various stakeholders in the district. We cannot be able to access or transfer any money until members have been trained in those two systems. Now, this has also incapacitated access to these resources. But now it speaks to one thing. The purpose for which we're having the PDM is to have a boost in our agricultural sector. But now the planting season is coming. It's moving at a very terrific speed. The rains are moving now. You are not sending the staff to go and train people to access the money. So you'll give this money during the dry season. It will be used for resolving other issues, not the intention of the PDM. So at the end of the day, we are working in futility. It brings me to my second point, Right Honorable Speaker. I think it was a bit an error for us as a Parliament of Uganda not to allow the issue of seeds to be removed from, they used to give to members of parliament to give to the constituency. They used to be timely. These things used to be timely. This money, we were guided that this money is going to be put in the PDM. So what time is the money reaching? This is the planting season. We are only creating havoc as a country and contributing to famine in our own country because of our delays. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Matia.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I want to speak on a discrepancy in dispersing this money in Maracha. When the 7 million was given out, 15 parishes missed. And when 25 million was given, 3 parishes missed. I don't know when that is going to be corrected. And then the money which has arrived there, last week when I asked my people whether they are using the money, I'm told people are not very familiar with the use of this money. They have only given to few circles to see whether it will work well. I think this is because the knowledge or the information or the training of people to use this money was not thoroughly done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Stella.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I also want to associate with my colleagues. Right Honorable Speaker, the parish development model that was supposed to reach the community by last year, but it's 2 years down the road, it has not yet started. Out of the 100 million that was supposed to have been taken to the community, only 17 million have surfaced the communities, the group's accounts in my district. There was a 25 million shillings which was circulating and was said to have been released and put in the account, the group accounts. But that 25 million has not yet reached the group accounts. I wonder what has happened with it. Right Honorable Speaker, what is also affecting this is the non-allocation of funds for the preparation of, to cater the preparation of these groups. There is no money to facilitate mobilization of groups by the respective office that is concerned at the district, that is the commercial office, and they understaff. That commercial office is understaffed. When you look at the commercial office in my district, we only have 2 commercial officers, 1 commercial officer in the plus the assistant. So that is that office too understaffed to cater for the whole district. So they need actually to recruit more staff that will help in terms of preparation and also mobilizing and monitoring these groups. Right Honorable Speaker, the delay of parish development model is a result of changing guidelines. Guidelines have been changing day by day, failing the district officials concerned to do their work well because of the changing guidelines. And they have been instructed to hold on. So they cannot do anything without any instruction from the respective.
Thank you. Colleagues, earlier on I told you we hadn't received the report from Acholi sub-region, but the chairman, Acholi Parliamentary Group, has submitted the report to the clerk. And I think we better use this opportunity to also lay it on table so that it forms part of other reports. It was the only sub-region which had not yet finished.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity. Allow me to submit Acholi sub-region report on parish development model by Acholi Parliamentary Group. I beg to lay.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Quick.
And I will kindly request you to give me time also.
Honorable Quick.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank you for giving me this chance. Mr. Speaker, Parish development model was a very well thought idea. I have about 2-3 issues to raise. One, everybody is commenting about the change of the guidelines. By now, all parishes should have received about 200 million. And now we're talking of 37. Others talking of 25. Mr. Speaker, could this be a delaying tactic that the guidelines is being changed every time because we don't have the money? That is what I want to understand. 2, the parish chiefs who are supposed to handle these people, some of them are not receiving their salaries. Some have spent 3-4 months without salary. Mr. Speaker, this brings the issue that we are hearing on the ground of extortion, because somebody is leaving his home on an empty stomach to go and work. In the evening, he has to present something for the family. The third thing, we are pumping a lot of money on this parish development model. And some of the key infrastructures is being left out, especially the roads. I don't know what we are going to use to carry the big output that we get, what we shall get from these input that we are putting in the parish development model if we don't have the infrastructures like the roads to bring this produce to the market. I thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Wow. So I will start with those who were here when we were starting. Plenary. Now some have started complaining. And I can see most of you are not here now. You're and the ones who are not here are the ones saying, yes. And you're making my work easy. Yes. But let me pick Uganda. I pick Aivu. Huh? Sorry, Vura. Sorry. Yes, I'll pick Uganda woman. Okay, Uganda woman. Yes, because Honorable Choma had spoken earlier on. Now, everyone who has spoken today, you first take your seat. Okay, I'll first do that. Okay, so
yes,
I'll pick Vura. Then I'll pick Dr. Kugonza. Then I'll pick Ntungamo. I'll pick Oseku. I'll pick Areper. I'll pick Katariwa. I pick Uopa. I pick Uopa has spoken. Then Uopa out. So I'll pick Barimoy. I think Timugiwi has spoken today. You just late. And then I pick Ogwar. Then I'll pick Mbarara. Then Ruchiga has been here since we started. Yes. Then I'll come back. Colleagues, I'm going to give you time. Please. Yeah, 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Fellow members,
I'll pick you, colleagues.
Parish development model is a very good model that can transform this country to the development levels. But I would like to emphasize on the monitoring and the routine sensitization of the beneficiaries of these circles. Coming to my own constituency, most circles received the money, but there is a challenge on the accessibility of these funds. It's not there, and yet the circles received the money. So we need to know when are we taking off from using this money. The second one is about the benefit. The benefit or the objective of this parish development is about benefiting this poor to the poorest, this poor person in the constituency. But you realize that the bank is using only one language. So would love someone is. I would request maybe the ministry or the beneficiary ministry to really put on the guidelines so that these banks can put on a friendly language, especially for these local people, the language that they can understand, especially when they're applying for these funds. I beg to submit.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Adriko Yovan, the people of Vura constituency, Arua district. Right Honorable Speaker, in Vura constituency, we have 32 circle groups. Out of that, 11 groups received their money. And the challenge, what I have seen on the ground there, the money never received. No, the money never reached to beneficiaries. And yet they have opened account. Then they always go and check the account. There's no money. Then I said, what's the problem? If the money is there, why
they always go, there's no money. This means there is something around, or maybe is that the way how they can trick, or that we invest our money. That's what they try to do our beneficiaries. So I request our Minister for Local Government that to be serious on the ground, particularly the local government. I have seen this challenge in local government. As central government, we have tried best level to send money to the local government, and on the ground, those people are using some tricks to invest our money. People are not benefiting from this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Before Emery, I think Honorable Zumra, yes, had been.
Yeah, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, in Obong district, we have 28 parishes, meaning that we are having 28 circles that are supposed to benefit from parish development model. And the funds are being given to the parishes, and whereby the beneficiaries are not receiving, they're not accessing the funds. And I wonder why they are not accessing the funds, and we need to actually do something whereby the beneficiaries will be in position to access their funds. Secondly, each and everyone in this house knows what a parish chief gets as a salary. And these parish chiefs, they don't have gadgets, they don't have transport, they do not have computers for keeping the data of parish development model. So I request the ministries will do something whereby they can be in position to provide computers and transport for the parish chiefs for easy mobilization of members and for keeping the data of parish development model. And we need real capacity building for the parish chiefs. Not the heads of departments being trained on parish development model, because it is the parish chiefs who are in touch with the community. They should be trained. They should be given that capacity building training for them to in position to be to empower the community with whatever knowledge they have got from the training. Lastly, in Obongi, now that the president is moving around, talking about wealth creation and the parish development model not being active, right now the taken clubs are running up and down. They want to disperse the funds without training the beneficiaries. Meaning that if these funds are given to the beneficiaries without them receiving the training, it's going to be the same history of Imioga and Youth Livelihood Program. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, colleagues, allow me to make a general observation, which helps me in managing the house. This house is cosmopolitan, but people from the same region like sitting together. Listen, I want to tell you, and then you all stand up together. And you want me to pick you, you're from one region. And yet we need to get ideas from the whole country at once. Okay? No, it's a general observation. You'll find Ankole seated together, Rango seated together, West Nile seated together. I have 3 MPs. 3 MPs from West Nile are seated together on top. I have 3 MPs from Ankole seated together. I have, and then allow me, allow me, because I'm advising you why I will keep jumping you. I can't pick 3 people who are seated together. 1, 2, 3, I pick you as if this other side, there are no people. So colleagues, run to distribute yourselves. Mingle, be friends with people from other regions, move around, mix, not same gender, you know, okay? Now, don't be like Honorable Saro Pendi, who only sits with Ronzori, and yes, she's from Ronzori. So let's move Honorable Emre Kugonza, then Honorable Barimoy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Colleagues from here, then now I'll go here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In Kibale district, where Buyanja East County is, which I represent in this August House, we received the PDM funds. But at the time we went there for the assessment, people who are supposed to benefit had not benefited. But last weekend, this very weekend, the first disbursement took place and the people are very excited. But I want to mention some few things about Parish development model. The anchor of the Parish model is actually the SACCOs. SACCOs are globally known to be member-formed, member-managed, and member-used financial institutions. And that gives the owners, the members, the people that have started them, the powers to run them. But what is happening right now, if we are talking about empowerment, what government is doing is actually empowering the communities. And we must also realize that we are dealing with a very sensitive group, the people that have not been in the money economy. These people have had fears about money, but looking at the bureaucracy that we have been able to subject them, we are actually denying them access. They have developed even greater fear about money issues. And also, we are dealing with people who are illiterates in many cases. But all the forms they have been told to go to the banks, they are filling forms in English for things which they don't understand. They are actually even asking us, members of parliament, are we not going to be taken to jail after some time? So these are some of the things that we need to address. The responsible implementing agency must come up with a program that empowers SACCOs to work as SACCOs. And that's why they are getting certificates from Ministry of Trade as per the SACCO Act to be able to operate as SACCO.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Balmoy.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Gulu district has 47 parishes. And so far, 2 parishes of Wangatira and Paicho have been enrolled to partake of the parish development funds. But as I speak, Mr. Speaker, the 2 parishes of Paicho only got 2,530 something shilling only out of what they should have gotten. Right now, about 3 weeks ago, the president was in Gulu, visiting actually sub-region. And as you know how he conducts his rally, he was calling the Wananchis to come and testify about the parish development model. And they were saying money is being extorted from them by the commercial officers, by the technical people. And as I speak, this weekend, the anti-corruption team was in Gulu. State House anti-corruption team was in Gulu. They arrested the commercial officer of Gulu City. What the technical people are saying is that the ministry did not provide funds for the parish chiefs and the commercial officers to move around and sensitize people and carry out a number of activities. And for that reason, that's why they're extracting money from members, like 5,000, 20,000, and so on and so forth. Which if they don't go to the community, it's also a fault or failure for them to perform duties. I would love for the ministry to sit down and go back to the drawing board and restructure or craft a better method of how the PDM can succeed. Less of that, Mr. Speaker, sir, this is already looking like a failed project.
Thank you. Clerk, are we still on 2 minutes? Because I'm doubting. I'm really doubting. And I'm noting members who speak and after submitting, they walk out. So next time you will see me not picking you, you stand up several times and you see me keeping quiet. It's because I know some people who just want to speak and they go. We are not here to just go on the record of the Hansard. We are here to deliberate on serious issues. And you can only deliberate very well if you also listen to others so that we learn from each other. So I've noted some. I had picked you, Honorable colleagues.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm just mentioning 2 issues. One, false reporting by the center. The money that was deemed to have been released by around Feb this year actually just landed in the accounts last week. And this type of reporting actually is misleading the masses. And we go with the impression that maybe money has gone to the districts. We go and start witch hunting people at the district level. This should stop. And this actually is very characteristic with the money that is supposed to go for for similar programs in the country. 2, in my district of Nakapriprit, no parish had received money. Therefore, even the community facilitators from the commercial office had not carried out any training. They are just starting to start the training people now. Now, the next money that will be there will surely go very late, and I'm sure nothing much will be done. The circle for the parish development model was supposed to be such that one program fits into the other. The seeds should have been there so that when it is harvested, then the enterprises that should have actually gotten their money to buy the produce would have done that. And then the circle goes and continues. Now there is a disruption, and this disruption is going to affect the implementation and the success of the program. But I also want to bring it to the country right now that we shouldn't just live on false hope. For this year, this program will not meet our expectations. And I think we have to be realistic enough so that we face the truth squarely. I want to submit.
Thank you. Colleagues, I have a fear. We have reduced the whole parish model to one pillar. Even when you look at the reports, even when the questions, comments, we've reduced it to only one pillar of financial inclusion. Where is the money? Ugandans are loving money. But there are other pillars, okay? I'm interested in hearing someone pressing beyond, Honorable Pay has gone beyond, okay? I'm interested in us looking at other pillars, tracing their performance, so that even in the budget, when we are budgeting, we say, how are we reporting? Maybe you want us to have another session where I would say, we discuss parish model minus financial inclusion pillar. And, okay, so listen, let us not make our work very easy. We have Honorable Agnes Sapea. You can take advantage of her. She's among the people. Honorable, you can stand up. I want them to recognize. She's among the people who designed this program before coming here, before becoming a member of parliament. She has played a very, very critical role. You cannot, I'm telling you so that you take advantage of a colleague having a colleague in the house. Now, honorable colleagues, just listen to me. Let us discuss parish model, not in a light manner, not on what is very easy, not on what you just hear, but you have read. We discussed the budget framework paper. Where are the other pillars in the budget framework paper? They have submitted ministerial policy statements. Where are the pillars? ROP has submitted an alternative budget proposal. Where are the pillars, all pillars of parish development model? So then we have a more structured debate. Otherwise, when you're talking about issues, we have not received money, then everyone will fit in the debate. And we are not here for purposes of just fitting in the debate, but for making serious recommendations for the executive to go and consider, okay? I just wanted to give that guidance. In Tungamo, and then Oseku, then I do Bararu Chiga, then Ogwa. Yeah, let's do quickly. We pick.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. As a country, we have a lot of hope in parish development model. However, we've not considered so much government organizations like NARO, NAGRIC, which are responsible for breeding. This parish development model is based on 4-acre model, where you have coffee, you have poultry, you have piggery project. But when people get money, they get piglets, they get chicks, which are not good quality, which are not good breeds. So as government, as parliament, we should put more emphasis and put our priorities right by supporting Ministry of Agriculture, because NARO and Agric, they all fall under agriculture. Then we task them to train our farmers to go and provide them with quality breeds such that we get quality output. Because in agriculture, we have 3 steps: input, production, and even output. 2, we need to work hard as leaders. We be torch bearers. We must look for market. We must encourage people to form unions. We register people according to their production lines. If you have 10 parishes in your constituents or 40, try to find out and see how many people are doing piggery projects, are doing poultry projects, such that we help them by maybe getting quality drugs, because people go and buy fake drugs. You find all the money you've given them, they have bought chicks, they have got fake drugs, and all chicks are dead. So as a country, as leaders, we really need to work so hard and make sure we support our people. Lastly, exclusion of LC1 chairpersons.
Thank you, Oseku. Then Ruchiga.
Right Honorable Speaker, there is a problem. And this is to do with how the implementation of the parish development model is going on. Just like you have mentioned, there are several pillars that are supposed to feed into each other so as to be able to realize success in this program. But the approach that government brought was to introduce the issue of money or financial inclusion. And the target people are the poor. They needed to have had their mindset changed before they could even get into implementation or accessing this inclusion. So that is one of the biggest problems we have, and we need to emphasize the issue of mindset change. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, if the parish is the administrative unit where we implement this program, Ministry of Local Government must put their books right. Like it has been said, so many parishes are still missing. They are not coded, they are not captured, and they are prepared, their groups, they are not going to get the money. So we need to hear from the minister what they are going to do about with these parishes, and they ought to do it. In Palisa, for example, we have a total of 9 parishes which are not included. In Agule, there are 2, so that is Arieta and the Okolodongo. We have in Kibale, I have been to the minister's office for 3 years. They have failed to correct this problem. One sub-county has only 1 parish, and yet they subdivided it into 4 parishes. They have a council, but the ministry has failed to address this problem. The other thing, we are crying about money in this country, Right Honorable Speaker. The government claims to have sent.
Thank you. Honorable Ruchiga, Honorable, I really request. I'm also under too much pressure from colleagues here.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. PDM is a good program which was meant to help the poor people. But the most challenge we have, especially in Ruchiga, it was a rushed program. People were not given enough time to study and know. Because even when you go to the hard-rich areas, some people don't even know about parish development model. And then again, I'll go to the issue of facilitation, especially parish chiefs. They were not given funds to move around, and yet these are the people who reach parishes, our local people. They were not given time, and neither were they given funds. I'm requesting maybe in future, if such important program comes, it should be given ample time for our people to understand and benefit. As moving in Ruchiga, majority never benefited because they were not sensitized. And then the other issue, Right Honorable Speaker, in Ruchiga, the only parish, the 13 parishes have received funds and 17 are still lacking. Now that the minister is here, I wanted to know when are all these parishes going to receive the money? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Moses.
Thank you very much. My name is Moses Ogwal from Dokolo North. I shared myself with the presentation of Lango, but there are some few areas which I want to add. in our observation, especially the elders, we have not seen, the elders had a challenge because of the environment of the circle. They are taken up so fast, you know, if you have defaulted, you have a big challenge. So the elders gave us the information that they are not ready to go for that rushed process. So they need to be taken in a different way. And I'm thinking that we should have some incentives far more and above what we are providing, especially to bring the elders and also the disabled. The other issue which we noted was, first it was mentioned, we needed to have the issue of youth, women, as we had already agreed. But more importantly, we noted that if you are supposed to give somebody money, you must give that person money if the only problem is money. If the problem is money and any other thing, then you are in problems. So we need to restructure ourselves in such a way that all those issues are cleared up. That's why I would say, one, for agriculture to be promoted, you must look at breeds, you must look at skills, and you must look at the market. And that it brings you the issue that you need to involve other stakeholders, especially the bigger private sector, to support. And if it is market, then you have to arrange how many enterprises are you going to have. You need few so that you combine most of the items. We are developing as Dokolo district. We are preparing a solution paper.
Rebiambu.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to first say that though all of us are rotating around money or financial inclusion, it's because all the things require money. The mindset change, the mobilization, almost all pillars are tuning into money. I want to say that Mbarara district has 43 parishes. Almost all of them have received money, save for one parish in Nyamiriro, where my brother Honorable Bazili comes from. It's the one that has not received the money. But no one has accessed that money. One reason is people have been told to open individual accounts. People have been calling me. Some of us represent rural areas. Mbarara district is a rural area. People are told to go to Mbarara city, where the banks are, to open accounts. Some of these women do not even have transport to go. They do not even know how to read the things that are written in English to open the accounts. May I know whether these people can be allowed to open accounts in circles that are everywhere? The Ebo Circle, the Ranyamahembe Circle, the Ruvindi Farmers Circle, which are near my people. I'm asking the minister, kindly let me know whether people can open in banks that are near them. I submit.
Atariwa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I have like 3 areas of concern, Right Honorable Speaker. One of them, and which is very serious, are the dragging processes of this PDM. Right Honorable Speaker, the energy that PDM started with raised a lot of anxiety. But I cannot lie to you to say these days people are getting disappointed. The energy was too high, anxiety was high, but nothing is coming out. People walked distances, people had several meetings for over a year. Up to now, people have not received money. Right Honorable Speaker, can we have your guidance on this? When should we have a deadline to have all districts or all radio groups have their money on their accounts than keeping on with this dragging process? Right Honorable Speaker, the second issue is on the issue of capacity building. Members here are saying capacity building, capacity building, capacity building. My question is, how special is this money of PDM that people have to be trained for over a year to manage 1 million shillings? Why should we assume that people cannot manage this 1 million to do agricultural production in their farms? Why can't we give people money and they start their work? Now agriculture season is passing. People are not cultivating because people want to be built we have to be trained on how to buy seedlings. Right, Honorable Speaker, the last one, I think the third one is the issue of information flow to our people regarding this PDM and the previous programs. Right, Honorable Speaker, we used to have coffee coming from UCDA, seedlings from nuts and whatever. But today, all these things are not being provided. We have questions from our communities. Where is coffee? Where are the seeds? And this information, if you tell them that all the money has gone to PDM, people may think you are doing politics. Can we have a clear information for?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Isaac Otimigi, Padire County. Mr. Speaker, last time when you actually dispatched us to head to the constituencies for PDM, we were supposed to actually receive the disbursements which have been sent to our districts. They were supposed to be put in our pigeon holes. That was not availed by the relative ministry. So we actually went to the district without knowing what is the amount. Even up to today, they have not actually availed us with how much money has actually been given to each district in regarding to PDM. So it makes it hard for us to do oversight. And Mr. Speaker, most times whenever we come up with a project which can actually uplift livelihoods of our people, we come up with a blanket perspective. But sometimes we need to look at the UBOS statistics. Yes, we talk of 39%. But for example, in West Nile, over 80% of people fall within the 39%, below the 39%. But there are other districts where actually the number is less and they're receiving the same amount. So where is the equity in this aspect? So those are some of the things we actually need to look at. And another aspect we actually found, Mr. Speaker, is that there's no sensitization. Most of these people do not even know where are they supposed to start their repayment plan. Are they supposed to take the money to the district? Are they supposed to take it to the parish areas? That issue is not there. And the training is now done in reverse. We were supposed to have started by training, but now the money is in the accounts, though not accessed, but that is when now they are doing training. So I propose that actually we do things better next time. And I think with this, I move a motion that we end this debate. Thank you.
Please, you know, Rule 77 does not allow me to debate, but I have a representative who debates on my behalf. She's even the one who passed through my constituency. So please welcome the woman MP Mitoma. Can you switch on?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to report that by the time I did my oversight visit, Mitoma district had not received funds among the districts that were missing. And for that matter, some of the parishes, as my honorable sister Kawanda said, Buchiriro and I'm forgetting another one, but from Right Honorable Speaker's constituents are not considered because they are newly created. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, when we were ushering in parish development model, we were convinced that one of the pillars will be complete mindset change. But to my surprise, people are still believing in independence than productivity. The moment a member of parliament especially tries to visit even a home to help them with knowledge, the moment you leave without leaving something, they are on you. And we actually have a challenge. The moment you send us out, they know you are sending us with money. Even the leaders at the district, they are waiting. You call them for just discussion, they want you to give them transport. They want lunch. I visited the office at the district, and when I went to the production officer, was sending me to the commercial officer, then all the councillors are following you. They are seeing you as their messiah because they need lunch that day. So I'm requesting that maybe if you can have a secretariat at the district, because you go there, you find they are all green about what is taking place. And my request that as you have the secretariat at the national level, let there be a secretariat at the district. And that's the Right Honorable Speaker. there is a problem of coordination at the parish level. Most of the parishes actually are briefcase parishes, including my own. They don't have offices. They don't have land. Even the old parishes, the headquarters are all down. So you cannot even follow up on the parish chief because they don't have address. So I request that as you do whatever you do, make sure that the parishes have headquarters. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Now, honorable colleagues, the issue of money and the perceptions is an issue which won't go away. You see, you are an MP in every aspect. That's why when you stand like this, even before nominated, when you just announce that you're standing, they start calling you honorable. Because, because at that time you have money. So your MP, meaning money person. Okay? Because you're MP, but of money person. Then now when you get elected, and these people, you're running around offices, you're calling meetings, and you're not giving. You again remain an MP, mean person to these people, but you're mean person. Then, even after spending everything and you sometimes lose an election, then you again remain an MP, miserable person. So whichever way, in every aspect, you're an MP. So remain MPs and be strong MPs, okay? So what I've seen, we allowed readers to present, to just submit, but we didn't allow them to. And we considered that they have spoken, which is wrong, okay? So let's just do a very quick round. I'll start with Karamoja. Yeah, I'm coming this side, colleagues. Let's do a quick round.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
But we are not speaking in terms of districts. We are speaking in terms of sub-region. And you clapped very well when Renzo represented you. But I would allow you to speak for Tororo. Okay?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Ngoya John Bosco is my name again. I laid in for Karamoja. In the case of Karamoja, out of the 493 gazetted parishes across the region, only 393 of them were reported to have received funds in their accounts. They have received funds, and as a result of that, most of the districts have already done trainings. They have formed SACCOs. They have registered them under the IFMIS. But unfortunately, of course, they are still waiting for money. Again, we are talking about this region, famous for the wrong reasons, the iron sheets and the goats. So PDM becomes a timely thing. Everybody's actually yearning for. They are waiting for it even for today, if they would actually be able to release the money. Now, while PDM committees have generated plans as a result of the trainings they have actually had, the rollout has not been very easy because, again, the money for administration that is supposed to go to the parish chiefs has not been forthcoming up till now. So this is the reason why at the level of Karamoja, we are really waiting, yearning for this PDM, as well waiting for the iron sheets to be returned and the goats. The other bit that we actually learned when we were having a consultation in APAC was that the parish development model committees decried actually the lack of guidelines or the circulars to accompany releases for the money. The commercial officer indicated that I've written severally to the ministry to ensure that they actually give them a circular instructing how they will actually utilize the money. And it has not come. Of course, there are all these fears about how do you spend without getting instructions. Already been arrested.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, we shall continue talking about money under PDM because out of the 7 pillars of the PDM, only 2 pillars have been somehow talked about. That is the financial inclusion and the parish-based information management system. The rest, we are not seeing anything. The social services, the governance administration, we are not seeing much. So we shall continue talking about what they are talking about. Now, a member raised the issue of the complaints down there about the ever-changing guidelines, Mr. Speaker. But in our region, especially my district, there are complaints, Honorable Minister, that in addition to the changing guidelines every day, there are also different instructions coming from different sources. Ministry of Local Government says this, Ministry of Finance says this, OPM says the other, and they don't know who to follow. Can we come together as government and agree on what to communicate and when? Number two, a colleague has already raised, parish chiefs don't have addresses where to find them. They are sitting at the sub-county. Some parishes are very far away from their sub-counties. So it is not easy even to follow up. The issue of disbursements, Right Honorable Speaker, as we talk now, we have entered the last quarter of the financial year. Ideally, every parish should have received.
Ankore, then Honorable Awol.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Bazir Bataringa is my name, Kashar North, and also chairperson of the parliamentary group. There are 7 pillars as we agree here. But today, we only have the Minister of Local Government, particularly, I think, because of the financial inclusion. Yes, because the money is disbursed through his ministry.
No, it's the
What they have-
overall, it's
yes.
overall ministry.
Overall
in
ministry.
charge of coordination.
Yes.
Parish model.
However, this money is destined, first of all, to the agricultural sector, production, storage, process, and marketing. This, to me, is not being addressed at all. 2, the production, storage, processing needs electricity, water, and then good roads for transporting this produce. When is it going to be addressed while we are focusing on money for the disbursing to the people? 3, quality seeds, quality seedlings, quality breeds. How will our people access them, especially those in hard to reach areas in the rural districts? Lastly, to give others chance, the parish chiefs, they don't have offices where to operate from, but
Honorable Bid, it's a word.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Then Honorable Bigger.
First, I worked as a rural development worker. And when I saw the formation of the groups for parish development model, I just concluded that this program or project is dead on arrival. Because you can't ask somebody who lives very far away that side to come together with this person who is here, who have not been interfacing. There are very many groups which are there in the villages and parishes. We refuse those groups, and they say formation of new groups where you have to include also people with disability, the elderly, the youth, the women, and other men. This was a failure already. Number 2, you remember that 2021-2022 budget, we budgeted 17 million per parish or wards. We budgeted that. In my city, Gulu City, they only receive, I think, about 4 million, 4 point something, 3 point something, whereas the 13 million gone or 12 million gone. This is very bad. Then we found that some other officers, like even the RCC is in the city, RDC in the district, they also decided to put their hands in that money. We said it here that this fund should be for the poor. People should not put their hands there. We can only plan for administration.
Honorable Bigaros.
Yeah, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker.
Bigaros.
Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm one person who listens to instructions, and I've sat among his colleagues who are not from West Nile. Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, I still have a parish that has not got PDM. Two, Right Honorable Speaker, Terego has parishes that have up to 20 villages. Honestly, we'll be cheating the other parishes that have 20, and then I have another parish that has 4 villages. It would be good to see that the ones that have more villages are catered for. And Terego has never benefited from redesigning of villages and parishes. We are still in the colonial time, meaning there is no single village in Terego that has less than 300 able-bodied people. That is the list. That aside, Right Honorable Speaker, my proposal is that PDM could be treated as a project with project managers so that we focus and we give them terms and conditions other than burdening the already overburdened social workers from community development officers to sub-county chiefs. Honestly, there are other things that are supposed to be done in the districts apart from PDM. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, my people are asking, when are the seeds coming? Terego does not get rains like the one we get here at the center. I would be grateful to today get a feedback on when seeds can be delivered. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just honorable colleagues, wait a bit. Honorable Minister, I need you to get all the reports, because the issues members are raising here are issues which they have considered in the reports. So, honorable colleagues, honorable Minister, I need you to get these reports. There are observations, there are recommendations in the reports. Comb through, because most of the issues are cross-cutting. Give us a written response to issues are cutting across, and then those ones which are not cutting across that are unique to areas, highlight them that these ones are unique to areas. Some of the issues are issues which members are raising here. 1 week, Honorable Minister, Thursday next week, I'll give you space on the order paper. Then you submit responses based on the recommendations and observations from the reports of sub-regions, because I don't want colleagues to feel, oh, you picked our reports, you just put them, we read on table and nothing was done about the reports. I want you to comb thoroughly. Then on Thursday, we shall handle only 2 items. Parish model, whereby we shall start with a statement that will be giving responses, and then plus Prime Minister's time. House adjourned to tomorrow at 2 p.m.